Hi, good morning. Good morning, everyone. Welcome. I think some of you have already joined us. Thanks for being early, guys. Welcome to our Friday weekly Ask Me Any Stock session. If you guys can see me and hear me loud and clear, and you can also see our screen right over here, just type a GM for good morning. Let me just acknowledge all of you for just being early today. All right. Every Friday we go live. Ask Me Any Stock AMAS session. Just type a GM for good morning. All right. Let's see. Who is over here? I think some of you are already typing in the name of the stocks, right? Sheng Siong, SIA, ABC. Good morning as well. Andy, hi. Good morning, ABC. Colleen, hi. Victor as well. Good morning. Good. Let's see who is here. We have Esther as well. Good morning. We have Mao. Hi. Emily. Good morning. Ben. Let's see, Leon, Propnex, right, to hold or to sell. Later we'll talk about that. Yvonne, Selston, hi, good morning. Stephen, thank you so much. Good morning, Madeline as well. All right, welcome, guys. Welcome to our Friday Ask Me Any Stock session. And today, we'll be talking about the Singapore market. So for those of you who have been following us for a while now, right, since like last year, well, every Friday we go live, rain or shine. It happens, it runs, all right? And we talk about the Singapore market and even the US market. So alternate, right? So last Friday was US. So today is back to Singapore. Next Friday, we'll be back to US, right? So very simple. We'll do a quick market outlook, quick run through of what are some of the key levels for the market, maybe the S&P 500 index. And of course, today is Singapore, right? So let's talk about the STI, the Straits Times Index as well, right? And after that, all right, then we'll dive into the segment that all of you are currently typing in the chat, right? The stocks that you guys want a quick opinion on, all right? So you're asking about Propnex, OCBC, and all the stocks, right? So step by step, guys, later when you type the name of the stocks in the chat, right, what happens is that you want to give us a bit of a context. All right, give us a bit of a idea. What are you looking for, right? Or what kind of advice you need, right? You bought this stock, is it Propnex or is it DBS or what, right? Give us a bit of context. Are you looking to buy? Are you looking to sell? You bought last year, last month, what price? Does it make sense for us? So that when we give you a quick opinion based on the technical, so based on my one good trend strategy and the indicator that I have called the one good trend pro indicator, right? At least it is a bit more personalized rather than a bit more general. Does it make sense? And we of course give you a bit more priority if you spend a bit of effort to type like, the context behind the stock. You see what I'm saying, Spark? All right, so way to do that, right? Later you can type the name of the stocks. And very simple, after going through all the stocks, right, we try to cover about 15 over stocks, right? 15 over stocks, maybe each session. And what happens after that? Then we can go ahead to share with you guys 3 Singapore stocks that we like. So today I have my full team here with me, right? Zee and Bervyn here with me, and right, 3 of us over here. So at the end, there'll be 3 new Singapore stocks that you want to put in your watch list for potentially more upside. So make sure you stay all the way to the end. All right, so let's see, right? Good morning. Let's see over here, right? Blur Sotong, right? Wow, so many stocks over here. Okay, for Oitech, right? Okay, later we look at it, right? Okay, so let's dive into it right now. And for those of you who are just joining us, welcome to this session called Ask Me Any Stock session. Would it be okay that before we even begin, guys, help me to like and share. There should be a heart shape icon right over here at the bottom. Hit the like and share button. Thank you so much. Those of you who have like hit the heart shape button or some smiling face somewhere. All right. Thank you so much. And make sure you share, guys. Share as well so you can reach more people. And of course, if you share as well, then it will be on your channel. All right. It'll be easy to find the replay as well. Thank you so much. Those of you who like and share. And of course, if you have not yet subscribed to my YouTube channel, even on Facebook as well. So we're live on YouTube and Facebook, both destinations. So if you have not followed or subscribed, make sure you hit that so that when we go live in the future, you will be notified as well. All right. So my name is Joey Choi, top tier advisor, trader in Philips Securities. I've been doing this for more than 15 years now, focusing on stocks, right? Singapore stocks, US stocks, a bit of Hong Kong stocks. Stocks is my forte. So if you're looking at stocks, and today we'll be looking at Singapore stocks. So if you're looking at Singapore stocks today, you are in the right place, right? But if you're like kind of scrolling through YouTube and Facebook and looking for some funny videos and stuff, then probably wrong place, all right, Ken? So my name is Joey Choi, and pretty much I've been doing this for more than 15 years now, all right? And I also teach people on my one good trend strategy, all right? Whereby how do we know when to get in, when to get out? How do we take away the emotions, the second guessing, the mindset must be right, and all that about trend, all right? About trend, right? So the strategy name is called One Good trend, right? So I don't have time to share the whole strategy with you. As I said, today's session is more like pump, right? We just go through your stock. So if you want to find out a little bit more about the entire strategy, right? Then you can attend a free webinar, right? We don't have one next week or next week, maybe like next month. There's one. We don't do this every other week, right? So the link is right in the chat. You can click on it, check it out, all right? And register for a free webinar. That's where I'll share with you guys a bit more on the entire strategy. All right. Okay. Now let's move on to my team. Right. I have my team right over here. Bervyn. Right. Bervyn has been with me for more than 5 years now. One of the top brokers under me in Phillip Securities. Running our group coaching session, running our one-on-one session with our mentees, even assisting our team's portfolio manager with the fund management business as well. Right. And Bervyn, all right, is what we call a chartered financial analyst, right? For those of you who are in the banking and finance space, CFA, that's one of the highest qualification one can ever get in this field, right? So anything technical, fundamental as well, Bervyn is the go-to guy, and I do get his advice a little bit on some stocks as well, right? So Bervyn, maybe I can pass on the mic to you to share a little bit on yourself and for today, Bervyn.
All right, thanks, Joey. Hi, everyone. Good morning. Hopefully, you can hear us loud and clear. Okay, so because we do this every week, we just very nice to see all those familiar names joining us week after week after week. Hopefully every week we are able to give you a little bit more insight about the market, about the stocks you are holding, and maybe even perhaps some new stocks to be added to your watch list, right? So there's so many stocks in the market, and the market is currently still moving. As in for the past month of August, I think the market has went up a little bit. So I think during this session you will get some more insights about maybe how the September or the next quarter even is going to be looking like, or our opinion on it. So I'll pass the time back to Joey to continue on his introduction. So Joey, please.
Yeah, thank you so much, Bervyn. All right, very good introduction right over there. All right, so yeah, Bervyn will be sharing with you the stocks that you guys are asking about as well. All right, so we'll take turns one by one, me, Bervyn, and Zee. All right, and yeah, let's talk about Zee right now. All right, Zee is also one of the top brokers under me in Phillip Securities, more than 5 years now. All right, assisting our teams, group coaching, running the programs, right, running the one-on-one session with our mentees, assisting our team's portfolio manager as well. And Zee is, I would say, the go-to person. All right, even I also consult her a little bit on some technicals, candlestick patterns, price action, whatever you name it, anything to do with the charts, all right? Zee is what we call a technical analyst, right? In short, chartered market technician, right? So she's a CMT chartered holder. Basically, just called an expert in charts, all right? So let me pass on the mic to Zee, all right, to share a little bit on herself and maybe for today as well.
All right, thanks Joey for the introduction. Hi everyone, my name is Zee. I can't believe we have been doing this since January and now it is towards the end of August. So we have been doing this consecutively for 8 months. So for those of you guys who have been joining us every Friday, right, since the start of January till now, thank you so much, right? We really, really appreciate all your time and effort. But yeah, a little bit about me is that, like what Joey mentioned, I've got a chartered market technician, and then basically it's just a big fan of charts and trends. So my philosophy is pretty simple, to keep things as simple as possible, don't overcomplicate things, which later on throughout the live session as well, you actually take a look at, how Joey, Bervyn, and myself, we actually analyze some of the stock with Joey's One Good Trend Pro indicator, right? With just a click of a button, you can have a very, very quick opinion, on a particular stock with a bullish or bearish signal. Okay, so yeah, I will pass the time back over to Joey to actually kickstart today's session.
All right, thank you so much, Zee. So let's get started today, right? So very simple, guys. Today, all right, we'll go through, as what I mentioned, the markets, your stocks, and our top stocks at the end, right? So whatever that's being shared in every single session, including today, right, is just for education purposes only, right? So please do your own due diligence, basically the standard disclaimer that we share, right? It's not really to ask you to buy or sell anything, right? But just to give you a bit of an opinion, right, based on my strategy, based on my tools that we're using, the One Good Trend Pro indicator. And I hope that it can add value to you as well. I hope you get a better idea of what to do based on the stocks that you ask. All right, so do a bit of homework as well. Okay, so let's get started right now. How many of you want me to cover the market? This type of M for markets, guys. If you would like me to cover the markets, right, just to give you a quick run through of what has happened in the markets, where are we right now? Is it going to be more bearish, maybe more bullish, right? Type M for market, guys. Do you want me to go through the markets very quickly? There we go. Let's see who is here, right? We have M, Selston, Judy, Lillian, Winkit as well, M, Markets, John as well. Thank you so much, Jason, Tree Kim as well. So, well, very good. Let's go through the markets very quickly, right? So I'll talk about maybe just two markets, right? The S&P 500 index, right? The one of the very popular index that makes up the top 500 companies in the US, right? And that's what a lot of people look at as well. And of course, since today we're looking at Singapore, then we talk about the Straits Times Index, the STI. So very quickly, I can see that this is the S&P 500 index. Every Friday, right, we try our best to go through it, and you can see very quickly, I've turned on the One Good Trend Pro indicator that me and my team have been using, our mentees, our graduates have been using as well. All right, so you can see right over here, we can just turn on the bullish and bearish signals on any stock, any asset classes, even the market. This is a market, not a stock. Does it make sense? All right, so we can turn it on and get an opinion in seconds. So if you see a bearish signal, red color one, then be a bit more careful lah. Don't why you want to rush, right? But if you see a bullish signal, do you think you can be a bit more confident to think about getting in, right? So let's take a look at what it shows for the markets, right? Let's turn it on, 1, 2, 3, pump. There we go. Well, I will not go through too far, but I mean, you can see for yourself. Like every time we get a bullish signal, that was in November, all the way up, a bearish one, it goes down a little bit, right? So when we see a bullish and bearish signal, that is just one confirmation, all right, of guiding you to get in and maybe to get out, all right? It's not just you see a bearish, you anyhow sell, you see a bullish, you anyhow buy. No, right? That's just one confirmation, but it's a very powerful confirmation. And then we look at what we call 7 confirmation. If you have 4 out of 7 confirmation, we have a checklist to follow. That is where we call it a high conviction trade. Does it make sense, man? All right. So that's where you can clearly see, right? Bullish signals, right? The market, right? Another bullish signal in September. There we go. All right. But it's not all bullish all the way. Sometimes you also have a bearish signal coming out. So you can see right over here in like February, March, we got not 1, but we got 2 bearish signal on the market. All right. That was when S&P was about like 6,200 lah. All right. And what happens after the 2 bearish signal, then all the way down. So you want to be careful, get out, take some profit, don't be greedy. Does it make sense? All right. And after that, we got a new 1 GT bullish signal. So when you get out, means you get out, you'll be patient, right? But don't get out and wait. Then after that, the price will go up, then you're still waiting to to get back in, but already go up already. Does it make sense? So you want to know when to get back in again when the time comes. All right. When to catch the reversal, when to catch the rebound. All right. Not anyhow, when the time comes. All right. So when does the time come? Well, it came in May. I mean, we talked about it many times in our Ask Me Any Stock session as well. Pump. Another one, it starts rebounding up. So this is the market rebound from like about 5,400. Let's say we got a bearish signal last week, about 16%, all right? And maybe a bit of a profit taking, right? 2-3 weeks back, got a bearish signal. But overall, I would say that the trend still looks good for the market. Why am I saying this? Well, because after a week later, we got another new 1 GT bullish signal. And if you look at the trend, right, we look at what we call the moving averages, right, to give us a bit of a understanding of the true trend of a stock or even the market. So the longer term trend for the market, right, the red and blue line was a little bit like sideways flat. But you see right now, over the past 1-2 weeks, we finally managed to see the 100 days moving average, the red line, crossing back above the blue line. All right, that kind of give us a little bit of a confirmation whereby the longer term trend has started to turn up or beginning of turning up. Right, and as long as we stay above certain support levels, I think the red will go above the blue, both pointing up. It still looks pretty bullish, right? So I think I'm more bullish on the market, but you want to write down this very key level for the S&P 500 index. In fact, yesterday, right, once it hit that level, it came back down, all the news article, Bloomberg, everybody write about it, right? And what level is that? So we are kind of like attempting to break that level if we can go above that level. I don't know tonight or next week or what, right? But if you go above that level, I can tell you that is potentially where it could trigger a whole new phase of upside. More upside momentum can come in the markets. Many of those stocks, that have been pushing higher can continue to push higher, leading the S&P 500 index even higher. So what is that level? Well, this level for the S&P 500 index is none other. I mean, you can turn on the news article, but this level is none other than technically, right, the 6,500 level. Look at this right over here. Over the past 2-3 weeks, right, every time we go there, we touch and then we come back down again, right? Last week also touched and then came down a bit, red candle, right? And yesterday, we went to a high of about 6,508. All right, 6,508. So not too bad. We went above 6,005, right? 6,508, we must be above 6,005. So we went to 6,508 a little bit only, right? But sellers came back. I mean, the market a bit of a pullback, and it came back down a little bit. So now it's like, wow, 6,501. It's only like one 1 point only, right? 6501, right? So it's a bit in a kind of like, want to go down, go the kind of thing, right? But I think if we can break the 6,005, we go to 65, 10, 6520, that kind of thing, right? We stay above it, don't go and then come back down, all right? So we stay above it, it could spark off a whole new momentum in the market. So what's the news that is affecting, the S&P? Why are we seeing bullishness come back again? Well, essentially, right, if you've been following the news, the past 2-3 months of the tariffs, right, China and US de-escalating, and of course we have what we call China and US, a deadline got postponed back again. 90 days, kind of like they postponed the deadline between more negotiations to happen between US and China. So there's also positive developments coming in between the tariffs, right, from US and many other nations. So the tariffs as well, the positive news, right, as more or less people know that Trump is using it as a bargaining tool, right? And I think Trump actually introduced what we call tariffs on semiconductor stocks, right? That things like on imports coming into the US on semiconductor companies, right? However, you give them a leeway, right? If you have committed to building a manufacturing plant or like a factory in the US, right? Then there'll be no more tariff, right? So it's kind of like using it as a bargaining tool, right? And of course, that's where we saw a lot of stocks all starting to push up because many of those companies are indeed committing to have some plants, all right, in the US, right? So tariffs have been, I would say, a bit more positive, right? And then what happens that over the past 2-3 weeks, we have started to see a shift in sentiment in terms of the news flow going into what we call the interest rate cuts, right? Interest rate cuts. So, since last year, they've been talking about rate cuts and the Fed fund rates has gone down from 5.25% to about 4.25% currently. And it's stayed constant for the past, 8 over months, right? And there have been talks about rate cuts. But however, over the past few weeks, right, we started to see some data coming up from the US in terms of unemployment data going up, economic numbers going down, not so good. So the Federal Reserve Chairman, Jerome Powell, might need to act a little bit faster. And he has kind of like hinted to one rate cut, I would say potentially in September, all right, which is like next month, right? Next month. So some people are saying that maybe there might be 2 rate cuts as well, all right? So at least there are some hint, because all this while he's saying that you want to wait and see, no, you want to make sure that inflation is coming down and all that. But right now, he's kind of like hinted quite, clearly that, there might be 1 rate cut coming in September. And whenever they're talking about rate cuts and stuff, right, that's where we see bullish sentiment coming in the markets as well, right? So that's the news, right? That's the news. So I think it could be a catalyst, right? If next month he really executed, all right, in terms of rate cuts, that could be a catalyst. It could be a kicker, all right, for even more upside for the market, all right? So this is the S&P 500 index, right? How many of you want me to go through maybe the STI, the Straits Times Index? This type of S for STI or Straits Times Index type of S. Let me know if you want me to go through the STI. Type in the chat, let me know. Let's see. All right, we have wow, I think we have like more than 200 of you, 290 of you joining us. Welcome. Those of you who have just joined us, welcome. We have not yet started, right? In fact, I've just gone through the S&P 500 index. And right now, maybe we are going to go through the STI. So if you are scrolling through YouTube and Facebook, you have no idea who I am. My name is Joey Choi, top-tier miser, trader in Phillips Securities, doing it for more than a decade now, focusing on stocks. I'm pretty much analyzing the stocks that you guys want a quick opinion on based on my strategy, the one good trend strategy. So later we come to that, all right? So let's see, a lot of you asking about the Straits Times Index. Janet, Lillian, Ted, Selston as well. Judy, Rajan as well. SSSS, STI, Victor Cell. Thanks for spelling it out as well. Alexander, STI. Okay, let's just do the STI very quickly. STI, Straits Times Index, right? So this is what we call the Straits Times Index, right over here. So you can see very quickly, just to save time, I've turned on the bullish and bearish signals, right, on the STI. So even on the markets, you can turn it on and get an opinion, right? So 1, 2, 3, pump, there we go, right? Save time. Let's see. I'll not go too far, but I think you can see very clearly, guys. We got a bearish signal. When was this? That was April, and the one that Trump introduced the reciprocal tariffs, right? And then the market sold off, so they've got a bearish signal, came back down. But what happened is that when you get a bearish signal, it actually can be a good thing. If you're looking to buy, right? So it goes down, go down, all right? And then once it stabilizes, you see some signs of a reversal. Then a new bullish signal came in about 2 weeks later in like 15, 17 April, right? And then what happened? All the way back up, right? So we got a bearish signal, I would say about 3 weeks back, right? 3 weeks back or 4 weeks back, about a month back, in fact, right? And managed to just see a bit of a consolidation, but seems like we are starting to see strength in the Singapore market. Again, we got a new 1GT bullish signal. The long-term trend is up. The short-term trend, I would say flat, maybe starting to point up a little bit. But you want to watch this level for the STI. All right. So for the S&P 500 index, I mentioned to you just now, the 6,500. Right over here, that would be the 6,500 resistance level. But for the STI, it's not 6,500. STI is another number. What number is that? Well, the STI resistance would be clearly the 4,280, right? Why do I say that? Well, because you can see over the past like 1 over month, every time you go there and then a bearish signal come back down, all right, came down, and we just couldn't get above 4,280. Or if you want to give a bit of a leeway, then 4,003. Does it make sense? All right. So that's a resistance, right? If you can break the 4,003, all right, or 4,280, we stay above it, maybe some bullish candlestick as well for the entire market. Well, that could lead the next phase of upside, maybe all the way to about 4,400. Let me just do a bit of a projection based on the current consolidation phase. So from here, we can project it upwards. I would say maybe about 4,400 and then 4,500. That could be the next upside. All right, so this is the STI, and I think if you've been following me over the past few AMAS sessions, right, what happens is that, well, we have been seeing quite a bit of strength in the Singapore market, right? We have been seeing quite a bit of strength in the Singapore market, right, over the past 2 months, 3 months. All right, type A, guys. Type A if you agree, guys. You've been seeing strength in the Singapore market. Let me know. Type A in the chat if you agree that we have been seeing quite a bit of strength in the Singapore market over the past 2 months, based on the STI, based on the banks, based on the stocks that you guys are asking about. Type A for agree. If you agree, let me know. And maybe you can type in the chat. Type in the chat, right? What do you think? What do you think for, the Singapore market specifically, right? What are some of the news flow, right? Agree. Thank you so much, Victor, as well. Agree. Colleen as well. Wilson, agree. What do you think are some of the news flow that have came out specifically for the Singapore front? Not about interest rate and all that, right? But for Singapore front. What's the news flow that have came out whereby, how come the market suddenly start to wake up, right? Type in the chat, guys. Type in the chat. Maybe I can share a little bit on that. All right. What's the news flow that have came out over the past 2-3 months that we have started to see more strength coming back in the Singapore market, the Singapore stock market? Let me know. Type in the chat. Let me know. All right, let's see, right? Funds flow in. Thank you so much, Victor. We have Vincent, you're saying that the, we have what we call this, government intervention. Thank you so much as well. Government funding. Exactly. So those of you who have been following the news, right? And also our session, well, essentially since about 1 or 2 months back, we had what we call MAS come like announcing. Let me just quickly pull out this news right over here. Just very, very quickly, right? Very quickly, right over here. This from Channel News Asia, CNA. So MAS appoints 3 asset managers to invest part of $5 billion $5 billion fund to support the Singapore stock market, right? So the asset managers will initially manage about $1.1 billion, and MAS is still kind of like reviewing submission from other applicants. So that was like about in last month, right? In July, it was announced again, all right? But that's what we call the equity market development program, right? So they want to kind of like, revive the entire Singapore stock market. They want to allocate funds to support the Singapore stock market. They want these asset managers, same thing, right? To build a portfolio, to invest in Singapore stocks as well, and to get more investment as well, right? So that is kind of like the news, right? So $1.1 billion has been earmarked, right? Total is 5 billion. 5 minus 1.1 is about 3.9 billion also, right? That's still left to be allocated, right, to the Singapore market, right, to boost it further, right, to create more liquidity, right? So this is the news. You can read out about it. Just Google Singapore stock market revival, stuff like that, right? Let's take a look at some of the things, right? Let's say we have Deputy Chairman, MAS Chee Hong Tat, right? One of our ministers as well, Singapore Minister. The MAS team is currently assessing many other proposals that have come in, and we wanted to go with these 3 first because they are ready. All right. We thought it would be better for us to proceed with these 3 while we continue to assess and work with other asset managers. Right. So they're kind of just doing it rather than to hold back all the proposals and finish assessing all of them. We announce the full list and we take it in stages. So they're kind of implementing this strategy, the equity market development program. And I would say that since about 2-3 months back, that's created a lot of positive sentiment in the market, right? So read more about it. I'll not talk too much about it, but essentially, we're seeing a lot of strength because the MAS, all right, has decided to prop up, right, or to revitalize the market by taking certain measures, essentially allocating funds for asset managers to invest into Singapore stocks. All right. Okay. So there could be more upside, as I say, right? Because there are still more funds to be allocated, to be deployed, right? To invest into Singapore equities. Okay. Now, very simple. Let's move on right now to the part that all of you are asking about, all right? And I think that will be the Singapore stocks, right? The Singapore stocks that you want a quick opinion on, right? So thank you so much. We have, let's see, right? Simon over here, $5 billion fund, MAS, Esther 5 billion as well, right? Very good. So now let's go to take a look at the stocks that you guys are asking about, right? So as I said, today we'll be looking at what we call the Singapore market, right? Singapore market. So go ahead to type in the chat the Singapore stocks, all right? That you guys want a quick opinion on as well, all right? Any idea when the $5 billion fully deployed? To be honest, I also don't know, right? If I know, then, I mean, nobody knows about it, right? So, we read about it in the news, right? And of course, when it's announced, then we all know about it as well. Okay, Ken? Okay, so type the name, guys, in the chat, all right? The Singapore stocks that you want a quick opinion on. Let me just go through very quickly, the Singapore stocks. So as I said, give us a bit of a context, all right? Like Thread Tan, ComfortDelGro, like, what about ComfortDelGro do you want to know about, right? You bought it, you sold it, you got what price, right? Give us a bit of context. So if you type a bit of context, guys, I can assure you that we'll give you more priority when we choose your stock. But if you just type on ComfortDelGro, then like, what is it about? What do you know about it, right? Okay, so we'll give you more priority, right? If you were to go ahead to, give us a bit of context. Alexander, you're my go-to guru. Thank you so much, Alex. Thanks for your kind words, all right? So type the chat, guys, type the chat. Let me just go through very quickly because I haven't, my team have looked at the stocks and maybe chosen some, but I haven't. All this while I've been talking for the past, 5-10 minutes. So now let me go ahead to go through your stocks and I'll choose the first one for today. Can just give me a while, give me about 1 minute, give me about maybe 30 seconds, all right? Let me just go through. So give us a bit of context, give us a bit of context. Okay, let's see this right over here, right? Kunap. I think that would be probably the first stop for today. Let's just do it ST Engineering, right? Kunap, thank you so much for just giving us a little bit of context. I bought ST Engineering at 620. Okay, later I check what price. After reaching a peak, then price came down. Okay, let's see whether it really came down. ST Engineering. ST Engineering. Where we go, right? Okay, maybe, so the name has kind of like changed a little bit. Right, let's see, right? So ST Engineering. No worries, let me go to pull out what we call the watch list and where is ST Engineering, right? Singapore Technologies Engineering. Right? So we used to call it ST Engineering, but now they kind of like changed the name to the full name, right? So Singapore Technologies, ST Engineering, all right? Okay, there we go, right? So you can see for ST Engineering, the very first stop for today, right? Wow, not too bad. We have quite a very strong move from like beginning of the year all the way up to near $9. I think what you say is correct. After reaching a peak, I think there's a peak right over here, it came down. Yeah, I think it came down a bit. So, right, can hold or sell now. So you bought and you still haven't sell, correct? So you're asking whether can hold or sell now. Okay, good, got it. Right. So basically, you bought it already. Okay, at 620. So you bought at 620. What price you buy? 620 means you buy about here, right? About here, 620, right? Not bad. What? Now it's 768. You should make money, right? 620. You now it's congrats. Could not confirm make money. So the question is that came down a bit, right? So you're a bit scared, right? Why go down some more? Then your profits become lesser and lesser. So you're at least sitting on profits, right? But should you hurry up sell because in case the profits go lesser and lesser, in case it go down some more, right? Or maybe it's going to rebound already, then you better don't sell also, right? So let's find out. So very good. Thanks for giving me a bit of context, guys. So I say once you give us a bit of context, guys, so we can advise a little bit better, right? So let's go ahead right now. So ST Engineering, well, very simple. I think it's one of those pretty strong stocks since like the beginning of the year. Like, in fact, one of the top performing stocks, even before this, MES announcements on this, equity market development program that I shared just now. Right, that was way before. Right? In January, we started to see strength in it. Some, price actions pushing it up. We broke what we call the $5 resistance, all the way up, and then could not go in over here. and then it went up even more lah. All right. Now let's go to turn on the One Good Trend Pro indicator to see if there are any bullish and bearish signals lah. Maybe we can all help Kunaf together. All right, let's help Kunaf together. So I just say 1, 2, 3. Let's turn it on. There we go. So we got the first 1 GT bullish signal came in over here. That was on the 23rd of January. Not too bad. We got the first 1 GT bullish signal. They went up a bit. I think could not get in. A bit more expensive, but never mind, right? It still went up even more. Then we got another 1 GT bullish signal. So it's gone up. It's gone up by, I would say, I mean, from the very first bullish signal all the way to like a bearish signal about 77% in about 7 months. Right, 77% in 7 months, right? Okay, now let's dive into where we are right now. Wow. Now we got not one, but we got like two bearish signals. Like, what do you guys think? I mean, maybe you can help me out, right? Help me to advise Kunaf right up here. What do you think? Kunaf should sell, should hold? Let me know, guys, your thoughts. What do you think? Let me know, guys. Time to check, right? S for sell, H for hold, right? Let me time to chat. Let me know what you guys think about ST engineering. Maybe you can all advise Kunaf. Maybe you can share first, then I can go ahead to explain a bit more. Time to chat, right? Kunaf, maybe what's your thoughts? Kunaf, time to chat. Sell, hold, buy some more. All right, what do you guys think? All right, let's see. Sell 30%. Sell. Jesse say sell. Kunaf, not I say one. They say one. So later then, okay, let's see. Sell. Right? Sell. Maybe what? Maybe DCA, Vincent, right? Buy some more, right? Okay, sell, Doris, well, if no urgent for money, hold first, right? So different opinion, right? Short term is down. Thank you so much, Energized as well, all right? Okay, so very simple, Kunaf. For me, I would say that you got in at 620 something, right? 620 something. So definitely you are making some money, right? Some money, right? Okay, let me go to pull out the comments. A team can put out enough comments in the chat again, right? So you got in at 620, right? 620. We got 2 bearish signals. So my take is very simple. Like I say, we have these 2 to help us. All right. When we see a 1 GT bearish signal, right? That will mean whereby we have some weakness or some heavy selling pressure coming back. All right. So I would say if you have got this, or maybe you've asked me like last week, then I would say it's better to sell last week. Why? Because I mean, okay, you don't say you saw this bullish signal, you got in over here, right? Maybe over here 620, right? From here you see a bearish signal come out, you get out 34%, okay, what, right? I mean, take it first, right? Then let it go down some more, right? So if you have got out, then you could have saved like maybe a few $100s, right? I'm not too sure how many shares you bought, but when we see a bearish signal, plus we see some signs of the the trend turning down in the short term. So when we look at the trend, we look at it in 2 segments, right? The longer term trend. So ST engineering in terms of the longer term trend, no problem. Look at the red line. I mean, it's pointing up, right? Quite okay. Blue line pointing up. So longer term trend, to be honest, is okay one, right? But the short term trend, right, actually a bit not so good, because the green line, that was like up since like January, up, then flat a bit, up. Over the past 2 weeks, right, as the bearish signal come out, right, I mean, you can see for yourself, right, it is pointing down, right? So after 7-8 months there, all right, it start to point out. So definitely there's some signs of trend turning from the, up to down in the short term as well, even though the longer term trend is down, right? So we normally want to get out first. I mean, take some profits, get out, as I say, 70% from the very first bullish signal. For Kuna, maybe 30%, but it's still money, right? So we can get out first, take some profits, right? And once, all right, there are signs of the reversal coming back in again, right, Kuna? Then you get in again, right? What for? You want to hold all the way down and then like your profit become lesser and lesser. Does it make sense? All right, so we want to get out first, all right? And then, take your money, all right? Put your pocket, then, let it go down. You cannot go down until it stabilize, right? Then maybe we see some signs of reversal. So for example, let's say, so it's still ongoing. I mean, of course, the short-term trend is down. We got not 1, but 2 bearish signal, right? Maybe we might see a bit of a support around 750. I don't know, all right? Because we are still heading there. We have not been supported above it yet, right? If let's say we go there, we touch, rebound for like 1 week, 2 weeks, okay, maybe that's a support, right? But if we go below 750, and then sorry not 750, maybe will be $7. All right? Right, but maybe if the $7 to break down, can it go lower? Can. Maybe it'll be 650. I don't know, right? The point is nobody know what is the next support, right? Because we haven't reached there to test yet, Does it make sense? Right? But if we go there, we test it, we see some bullish candlestick, we see prices holding above it, then that could be kind of like be proven as a support level. And if we start to see the green 20 days moving average line, all right, maybe let's say it's 750 and the green line start to flatten out like that. Good. Even a confirmation that that will be the support right? Or maybe the green line, start to go down, maybe like that, or maybe like that. Does it make sense so far, right? That would mean that the support will have came out, whether is it at $7 or $6.50 or $7.50. So we'll wait for that to happen, right? That will be one confirmation whereby it stabilized, the short-term trend potentially can start to turn back up. And if we do see a new 1 GT bullish signal coming back, like something like over here, right? A bullish signal coming out over here or here or here, right? And then the green line also start to, turn back up like that, right? Like over here, that would be signs of a reversal. That's where you want to think about getting back in, all right, to capture the rebound move. You see what I'm saying about, right? Rather than just hold all the way down and then like your profits become lesser and lesser. All right, so why not get out first? So if you ask me, of course now it came down a bit, but if you ask me last week, I would say like get out first. You got a bearish signal, all right. Then wait for a re-entry when the time comes, right? Not today. I mean, I don't know whether next week or not. It could be next week or next month, right? But when the time comes, when we get certain confirmations of the reversal, then we can think about getting in. You see what I'm thinking about? All right. So I hope you guys learned something as well. So that will be the very first stop for today. ST Engineering. Let me pass on the mic to Bervyn to cover the next Singapore stock. Bervyn, all yours.
All right, thanks, Joey. Okay, so that is for ST Engineering. Now let's go to the next stock. Right, let me just throw my screen up. All right, okay, so HT is asking, hold, Centurion, buy, hold, or sell. Wow, all three spectrum. Okay, let me try to answer this. Okay, so HT, I don't know whether you currently already have some positions in Centurion. No context there, but I think from what we are seeing right now, since I think earlier last year, all right, I think if we are looking earlier last year up to today, the stock prices have already run up quite a little bit. So depending on if you have a position currently and you already have right up the uptrend all the way already, and currently we are met with a little bit of a resistance, I think, for the past 2 months already. We have tested this $1.80 level quite a few times. Let's go, let's count 1, 2, 3, 4. The fourth one being just 3 days ago. We have tested this 180 level, still not able to break above it in 2 months. But if we look at the longer term trend, all right, okay, the longer term trend, the red and the blue line right here, 100 days, 200 days moving average, it is still currently pointing up. All right, so in a case like this, yes, we may see a little bit of consolidation because you can see that in the past 2 months that 20 days moving average have pointed up very steeply and then started to flatten out, leveling a little bit, right? It remains a little bit leveled right now. Okay, so this is definitely what we call like a consolidation happening. It's good to actually see a consolidation in an uptrend. You don't want the stock prices to just go higher without much consolidation. So having a good consolidation is great. Okay, so if you are currently holding onto some positions based on your cost price, I believe you'll be sitting on a little bit of profits at least, because prices are very, very close to the highs right now. It is completely okay to take some money off the table, to reduce a little bit of the exposure, to enjoy a little bit of those profits. All right, right here, because this is where sellers have come in, not once, not twice, not 3 times, but actually 4 times. We are in the midst of the 4th time. Will it continue to consolidate right here before breaking above, or consolidate and then break down? Nobody can tell you, right? Nobody can tell you whether it's going to move either direction. But as of right now, if we take some profits off the table first, right? We take some profits off the table first, and indeed prices reach back to that support level of about 160. Right now, we had tested back then sometime in July. Hey, there's nothing wrong to get back in again, right? And if prices indeed breaks above the 180, that's another potential entry for you, right? If prices break and of course hold, see, in fact it has broken once, twice, 3 times already, but it did not hold above this 180 level HT. So that is where you can firmly say that sellers are very, very present when prices are close to that 180 level. So you have to just turn on, get a quick opinion from this 1 GT Pro indicator, you can see that there's one GT bearish signal right here. You know, if of course, if back then you saw this signal, you can get out, you know, take some profits there, fine, and then you can, of course, get a re-entry as well. So if we to turn on not just the 1GT buy or sell signals, let's turn on that trailing support and resistance line as well. All right, so a little bit about this trailing and resistance line. It follows the stocks. All right, it follows the stocks, follows the trend. Okay, so as prices are heading up, you can see that the trailing support heads up as well, but it doesn't follow the stock prices exactly. There is a little bit of space, a little bit of breathing room. This takes into account the volatility of the stock as it moves up. So if the stock moves up and there's some breathing space, but it still breaks below, of course, not too good already, ma. Maybe it's the first sign to actually take some profits off the table, reduce a little bit of that position, and reposition yourself subsequently when you see another 1GT bullish signals and the rest of the confirmations are there as well, where prices are like maybe close to the support prices just form the new support. The 20 days moving average is pointing up once again. So right here, we can also see there's this 1GT. Based on this 1GT indicator, there's this trailing resistance right now. It's moving a little bit flat. It's moving a little bit flat, very close to that 180 resistance. So if we were to break above that 180 resistance and hold above it, right, we could potentially see a 1GT bullish signal just appearing right there as well. So I think that's a good sign. There's a continuation of the uptrend could continue. Maybe even perhaps this entire up phase right here can be actually continued like that. All right. So but as of right now, I think HT, you can consider to take some profits. All right. If prices head higher, you can consider to get in once again, increase the exposure once again. All right. So where would the next target be? That being said, all right. So if the next target, just doing a little bit of a projection right here from that 160 support to 180, resistance just shifted up a little bit. I think that psychological $2 level should be that next target you have in mind if that 180 level gives way or the ceiling gives way to form a new floor as well. All right, so that is for Centurion. I hope there's a little bit of insight on what are the potential things you can do with your positions right now. I'll pass the time to Z to actually cover the next stock for you guys.
All right, thank you, Bervyn. Okay, so the next stock that I have on my screen now will be China Sunsine, right? China Sunsine, because I saw Andy. Andy was actually asking, hi Andy, nice to see you here again every Friday. You mentioned that you bought China Sunsine at 78 cents. The stock has been sliding, no volume. Should you hold or sell to cut loss? Please advise. Then I saw Alexander. Alexander is also asking about China Sunsine, right? But on the other hand, Alexander is thinking about, time to actually potentially get into this stock, right? So let's take a look at both sides and some of the levels that we can potentially take note of, right? Especially for someone like Andy who already have a position, and also for Alexander who doesn't have a position. All right. So first thing first, when we look at China Sunsine, what do you guys think about the trend? I think the trend looks pretty okay, right? At this point in time, if you look at the moving averages. So when we look at the trend, we look at moving averages: green, red, and blue line. Green line, 20 days moving average; red, 100 days; blue, 200 days. So when you take a look at the longer term trend first, of course, we see that both the red and the blue line, they are actually sloping up. So longer term uptrend still pretty much intact at this point in time. Short term trend wise, it has been going up, may sideways a bit for 1 to 2 months, right? And then very strong surge up since July all the way to August. That's where you can see that it started to, a bit flatten out a bit, like it's not as steep anymore, right? But at least the 20 days moving average, right, is actually still pointing up, right? It's actually still sloping up. So I would say that the short term and the longer term trend, right, they are still aligning in the same direction. At least you don't see the 20 days moving average is pointing down, then not so good, right? Then not so good. That would mean that it's short term weakness. But at this point in time, I would say it is still pretty much okay, right? It's still pretty much okay. And in terms of signal wise, of course, I've already turned on the signals over here. You can see that the very first 1GT bullish signal actually came out in April, right? And the subsequent one actually came out in July. And now there is still no 1GT bearish exit yet, right? So the two consecutive 1GT bullish signal is actually still playing out. And I'm just curious. Let me just see how many percentage has it gone up. Oh, almost more than 50%. So not too bad, right? I mean, that's a pretty decent returns, right? Since the very first 1GT bullish signal came out. And right now, what do we see, right? So over the past couple of weeks, I mean, I think since July, end of July to somewhere, August, right? we are actually seeing some sideways consolidation whereby the price has just kind of been trading in a range, right? The support was somewhere around this 68. We can see that, this level broke above, tested it, neared it, and then here there's a very bearish candlestick, probably due to the earnings, and then after that, buyers came in to support the prices, and it is still holding above the 68 cents, right? So I would say 68 cents will be one of the crucial support level to take note, especially for China Sunsine, right? And the resistance I would say will be at least 75 cents, right? Because you see that over the past months, right, like I mentioned, from July to August, this was where price was actually consistently testing the 75 cents, but unable to break above it, right? So it was actually trading within this small range for at least 1 month. And then subsequently, it actually managed to break above it. But when it break above it, right, the thing is that when we take a look and zoom in at this candlestick, right, is it bullish or bearish? What do you guys think? Do you guys think this candlestick specifically, is it bullish or bearish? Maybe you guys can let me know in the chat. Do you think this candlestick is a bullish candlestick or is it a bearish candlestick? Let me know. Let me know in the chat. What do you guys think of this particular candlestick? Bullish or bearish? Let's take a look. What are some of the comments that we have over here? Do you guys think this is bullish candlestick or is it a bearish candlestick? Okay, so I think some of you guys were saying bullish. So Andy was saying bullish. Lauren saying bearish. Lillian put B. I don't know B means bullish or bearish because both starts with B. But some of you guys were saying bullish. Some of you guys were saying bearish lah. Okay, so let's take a look and further analyze this particular candlestick. Okay, personally, I would think that this candlestick, right, even though it's green, maybe you guys think that it's green means it's bullish. Actually, not true. Because the thing is that what we are actually focusing out for is the long upper shadow, right? So we are seeing this very, very, very long upper shadow at the top, right? And this actually indicates it is more bearish because what happens during the trading day is that, the buyers push the price all the way up. But somewhere during the trading day, maybe before lunch, after lunch, right, the sellers came back in to push it all the way back down to where it is very near to the price when it first opened. So when that happens, right, it means that the selling pressure is very, very strong, right? It means that the selling pressure is very strong, and it means that this is actually more bearish. So even though we see green, it doesn't mean that confirm is bullish. It can also mean bearish, okay? Especially when we see this. And this actually happens near the 80 cents mark, right? So 80 cents, I would say, is also a psychological resistance. And plus, we are seeing a very long upper shadow, which is more bearish, right? And subsequently, prices is unable to hold above the 75 cents and it came back down. And right now, price is trading about 745, right? It is, I would say, it is actually testing the 75 cents resistance once again. But will it actually break above the 75 cents? The 75 cents, I wouldn't know, right? Maybe today, next week, I'm not sure, right? But at least what we are seeing, right, is that, the 20 days moving average is actually flattening out. And if this actually started to trade more sideways like this, then potentially we might even find a new higher support, right? Because remember the previous support that I mentioned, the crucial support is at 68 cents. Perhaps buyers starts to come in and is willing to buy at higher prices, right? Perhaps we can also potentially see new higher support, maybe at 70, 72 cents, 73 cents. Yeah, I'm not sure, right? But we can actually monitor, right? Where are the buyers actually coming in to actually support the prices? But so far, in terms of this particular stock, I would say it's still pretty decent because at least we are seeing that the trend isn't going against each other for the long term and short term. All right. So for Andy's case, right? Let me see. For Andy's case, you mentioned that you bought at 78 cents. Do you hold or cut loss? I think for longer term wise, it still seems pretty okay, right? But do have a stop loss plan in place in terms of, because I'm not too sure what's your position sizing as well. So like I've mentioned, right, the crucial support at this point in time will be at the 68 cents, right? So maybe if you, based on the position sizing, perhaps you can also think about having some stop loss slightly below the 68 cents, right? But of course, taking into account your position sizing, okay? And in terms of Alexander wise, you are thinking about potentially looking at zones to enter, right? So when we are looking at this uptrend is still intact, we are thinking about buying near a support zone, right? Near a support zone. So of course, what we are looking at would be definitely one of the areas would be around here, right? Near the 68 cents, maybe 68 to 70 cents. This is where you can potentially set some price alert, right? To alert you if prices were to retrace back to the level for you to actually monitor. But of course, the other one that is more aggressive would be here, will be here if prices is actually able to break and hold above the 75 cents. But just take note that, from here to the 80 cents, it's about 6%, about 6%. So if let's say prices were to actually break above the 75 cents, then near the resistance at this 80 cents mark, this is where you can also set some alerts, because this would potentially be considered a sell zone as well. All right. So those are some of the levels, right, that perhaps Andy and Alex that you can take note of depending on your situation. But for Alex, because you're already holding on to the stock, do have a stop loss plan in place as well to protect your downside. All right. So that would be for China Sunsine. I will pass the time back over to Joey to cover the next stock.
Well done, right? Thank you so much, Z. Let's move on. All right, let's move on to the next stock for today. All right, and that would be this is very popular, very popular company. All right over here called Propnex, right? Propnex. Let's see, right? Who is asking about Propnex? I think a few of you asking about Propnex. We have Lillian. Hi, Joey. Z bought Propnex at $2. $2 is it? Now it's what price? $2.29. Okay, good. So you make a bit of money, right? To hold or sell. Let's see how we have like self-stern also. Can still hold or take profit? Well, a lot of us whether you are hold or take profit. So if you ask this question, means very good lah. You could have probably bought in. I don't know what price you bought in, but it could be 150, 180, 120 or $2. That means you are thinking whether should take some profit, sell, get out, or maybe can go up some more, right? Then you can make more money, right? Let's find out. So I would say that right now, Propnex is $2.29. I would say Propnex is one of the easily one of the top performing stocks since about 2 months back, right? And we actually sent out a few notes to our clients in Phillip Securities as well. A couple of times on WhatsApp. Just let me know before I talk about it more. How many of you are actually clients of mine in Phillip Securities, and you actually got our WhatsApp daily, or you receive a WhatsApp only? Type of C for client, guys. Type of C for client. If you are actually a client of mine in Phillip Securities, that means you have a trading account under me in Phillip Securities. Type of C for client. Let me acknowledge all of you and thank you as well, right, for your support, for just supporting us in this broking business as well. Let's see, right? Vincent as well. Thank you so much. Victor, Grace, John, Treaty. Thank you so much as well. We have Emily as well. Klein, Simon, Boba, Quisek. Yes, definitely. I see you as well many times. Alexander, Klein. So thank you so much for those of you who are already a client of mine in Phillip Securities. Well, I believe you would have gotten, check your WhatsApp. Just do a search, type Propnex. You would have gotten a few WhatsApp note on Propnex a couple of times over the past few months. All right. So later we'll go through it, but just want to share a quick one. Those of you who want to get some of those ideas, all right, not just on Propnex, but other stocks, right, much faster, all right, energized put. I missed Propnex notification, beating myself hard. I go and check, see when I send. But for those of you who don't want to miss it, all right, what happens is that you can find out how you can get some of those ideas for free. Let me say again, for free, all right, daily live by WhatsApp for free. All right, Propnex and some of the top stocks, right, that we are watching in the Singapore market. So you can get up some of those ideas. Check out how you can become a client of mine in Phillip Securities for free, whereby daily we send some top ideas, trainings, updates, articles, basically to keep you focused, to let you know what stocks to focus on, all right, and to try to help you make some profits, right, in the market. All right, so check it out. The link is right in the chat. You do not pay anything more. Just to be clear, right? You do not pay anything more, just to be clear, right? You pay the same as whatever you're paying when you're trading, right? But the question is that if you're not getting any service from your own broker, nobody send you anything, no ideas, no video, no WhatsApp, nobody call you, nobody WhatsApp you, then the link is right there. Check it out. Join us like many of our clients over here, like Esther, Dave, Madeline, all right? Energized Mood, who missed it, right? But never mind, now you check properly, Energized Mood, right? Stephen as well, Klein, all right? Check it out. Link is right in the chat. Look forward to welcome you on board, and then serve you together with my team as well in Phillip Securities, right? Okay, so now that I've said that, right, so those of you who want to find out more, the link's right in chat, click on it, find out more. Now, let's talk about Propnex right now. Let's go back to the question, right, for who is asking? Lillian, right? Lillian, let me just go to pull out your comments right over here, right? Bought Propnex to hold or to sell, right? Maybe we have also self-stern, right? Can still hold or take profit. So very quickly, why did we even send out this note to our clients? Why were we even talking about this stock? Well, if I can show you very quickly, we actually had a couple of bullish signals coming out on Propnex, right? Not one or two, but let's take a look. 1, 2, 3, pump. Let's turn it on. There we go. All right. In fact, since last year, we got like, pump, right? 3 bullish signals coming out, and it really started to move up then already all the way up till we got a bearish signal, 30 over percent upside. But I think the very interesting one that really saw it woke up, right? So if you ask me for Propnex, right, from February to like June, right, like about 4 or 5 months, it was quite boring, because it was like kind of like consolidating sideways. We're below the $1.10, all right, and then support wise was like about 90 cents to 95 cents, like up down, like that for like 4 or 5 months. Very boring. And the green line, look at the green line. The green line was like up, right? Then it starts to flat, right? For like 4 or 5 months. So a bit boring if you ask me then. That time probably we wouldn't sell anything, it was quite boring, right? But what happens was all this while it was consolidating sideways, the trend was actually up in the longer term. Does it make sense, right? The red and blue line was up, right? But it was just resting sideways in the short term, right? However, take a look at this right over here, right? Somewhere around June, right? Pump, all right? Another one coming out in June as well, end of June, 27th of June. 1 week later, there we go, right? We broke the resistance level. We broke the $1.10 psychological resistance. And I think you can see for yourself that this green line, this green 20 days moving average line that was like flat for like 4 or 5 months started to also point up. Now still pointing up now. I think now still pointing up. Doesn't make sense. So I would say that right now, it's gone up by quite a bit. In fact, how much has it gone up? I think that was like, let's just see from the bullish signals over here, we have gotten pump, right? Let's just say over here, all the way to up here, about 129% in less than 2 months. 129%, right? So if you have got in based on this signal, you got, right, and you write it 129%, right? So let's go back to the question, right? Wow, Joey, 129% already, that's a lot already. More than 50, 80, 90, 100 over percent, I should to take some profit, get out, right? Well, I would say that nothing wrong to take some profit. Why? Because 100 over percent, right? Put some money in your pocket, right? Go eat buffet or what, right? No problem. Okay. But the thing is that we also would want to cut our profits short, such that we after you get out and then it goes up even more by now 20, 30, 40%. Does it make sense, right? So we're going to take some profit, nothing wrong with that, but also allow our profits to rise even more to maximize our profits if there are no signs of it coming down, no signs of weakness, no signs of heavy selling pressure, and no bearish signal, right? I don't know whether about you, but I don't think I see a bearish signal coming out. Can you see anything? I don't see. So I would say that it still looks pretty okay. But if we see a bearish signal coming out, the green line that from going up, it starts to like turn back down, like just now I covered ST engineering, right? Then maybe you want to get out, take some profit. But right now, I think that it still looks pretty okay. All right. Maybe, right, we might have found a bit of a support coming in around the $2.20. 220, just write it down. I think 220 is a bit of a horizontal support. Why? Because over the past 5 days, seems like some buying pressure is coming there, right around the $2.20. Maybe all the way to $2.30. So I think the range is quite simple, 220 to 230, right? Up, down, and then now we are like 230 again, right? So that is kind of like the range. So as long as we stay above that 220, I think that would be like a near-term horizontal support. So I would prefer, right, for Propnex is that I would prefer that you take a rest first, take a rest, like over here. Can you see over here? You take a rest for about 3 weeks, right? 3 weeks rest, something like that, right? So 3 weeks rest. Then after that, you pump, then up again. So let's say I can take this part, here. Right, take this and then we put over here. Does it make sense, right? So from here, take a rest. You put over here. Let me let it rest a bit more, right? Something from here to here. So rest maybe another 1-2 more weeks. Take a break first. We go up so much, right? Rest first, and then we break the 230, right? Then maybe that is what we could potentially see a sideways pump. All right, all the way up. So you can like take this and put over here. That could potentially be the next up phase. So 230 will be a psychological resistance level. If we break 230, we go to 31, 32, right? We see some bullish candlestick price action as well after resting for a while. I think there could still be more upside, right? So back to your question, right? Can still hold or take profit? Well, I say nothing wrong to take some profit. You want to sell some at 228, 229, just take up to you. You want to sell half, sell 1/3, sell 10%, 20%, I think go okay, all right? But probably don't want to sell all because unless, as I say, we see some signs of weakness as of now, it still looks pretty good. Short-term trend is up. We found support around 220. If that holds, great. If 220 does not hold, maybe $2 will be a next psychological level as well. All right, that's where the 20 days moving average line is about. So we also want to see the green 20 days moving average line, right? Continue to point up, all right? And as I say, as we flatten out, right, then maybe the green line will also start to flatten out, all right? Rest a while more, and the green line start to point up again. That is what we're looking for in terms of the next phase of the upside, right? That will be the short-term trend, taking a break, resting, and then turning from sideways back to up. And if we do see another bullish signal, will that be another confirmation as well? Does it make sense, right? So that is for Propnex, right? Take steps to protect your profits, right? Protect your profits. Let it ride further. Take some profits if you want, but more importantly, you take steps to protect your profits, such that if it falls below a certain level, you get out, you still make money. All right. So Propnex here, one of the top performing stocks over the past 2 months. All right. So let me pass on the mic to Bervyn to cover the next Singapore stock.
All right, thanks, Joey. Okay, let's see. Here we go. We have Mifi. Hi, Mifi. I think one of our regulars as well. Hongkong Asia bought at 1.25, sold half balance, should sell or hold? Great question. Okay, so let's see for Mifi. Let's see right here. If you are talking about buying at 1.25, 1.25 is around here. Currently, you're sitting on close over 100% in profits already. All right, so because you sold half of it, yeah, okay, the second half still sitting on 100% of profit. First of all, congratulations. Second of all, I'm not too sure which prices do you sell the first half at. Hopefully, it was close to a resistance. Maybe you can let me know in the chat. But let's focus on what you have left currently. All right, what you have left currently, that's the most important part, your continued exposure. All right, so for Hong Kong Asia, let's just get a very quick opinion here. Show buy and sell signal. We have 1, 2, 3, 1 GT bullish signal. Okay, so let's see from that first 1 GT bullish signal all the way to the prices. Now that's 132% in gains. Great when we are, of course, also backed up by that longer term moving average, still pointing up. That 20 days moving average also continued to point up. And most recently, I think in the last week or so, that 240 resistance, was broken. That 240 resistance is broken. So we're in the next leg of that uptrend already. But we are in a little bit of a no man's land. How will you get the next target of that 280? Was just a simple projection upwards to that 280 right now. So I think right now, if you're asking me whether you should hold or sell, I think we should ask everyone else here in the chat as well. We are a little bit of a no man's land. We are trading about 257 to about 260 this morning. So if you guys were in the same position as Mifi, would you all consider to sell, to hold, or maybe some of you all will even buy more? All right, let us know in the chat. Kam Chong says, hold. Okay, hold. Anyone else have an opinion on this? Okay, Hoon says hold as well. Okay, so actually I will in fact, oh, here we go. Prof also says hold. Okay, so the professor says hold. Okay, Colin says hold. I think right now you are right to consider to hold. So you can see there is a large, there's a range of opinions lah. Some people are looking to actually ABC thinking of buying. In fact, all right, so I'm thinking of selling it. Okay, enough profits already. Take the money, enjoy the weekend. Fine. All right, so with the same stock, you have so many different opinions. So many people are thinking of so many different things. So which is the right way? Unfortunately, I can tell you there is no right way. Okay, so it depends on yourself individually, but I am more inclined to hold. Why? It is because we have sufficient upside. We still have the upside to that 280. All right, we have that downside. Of course, we have to take care of it. It is about that 240 level. And right now, Mifi, you are sitting on close to, I mean, at least 100% in profits. I'm not talking about brokerage or anything like that. So you have the leeway to risk a little more to enjoy that upside, especially where the signs are still pointing to that uptrend being able to continue. You may see a little bit of a consolidation coming. I think that's very normal. All right, we don't expect to see prices just going higher and higher and higher. A little bit of consolidation is normal. A little bit of profit taking, in fact, coming in close to 280, I would say completely normal as well. So if you want to take some profits close to 280, maybe reduce their position by another 20-30%, close to 280. Great. I think that is what you can do, you should do. You know, you want to protect your profits as well. Okay, but if you are looking to continue to ride that uptrend, I think just simply turn on that trailing support resistance line. You see that trailing support right there. I think by placing a stop limit order just below that trailing support. Right now it's about 223. So you place maybe about 2 to 3 bits lower than that trailing support, you know, just to lock in all those profits that you already currently are sitting on. So even in fact, if prices U-turn, come back down, break below 240, break below 223, you still get out with profits. So if you are taking that 125 all the way to below that trailing support, you're still sitting on 75% of profit. So you are essentially locking up 75% of the profit, and you still get that continued exposure to that stock to continue to ride that uptrend. I don't know if prices are going to break 280 next week for you to hit towards that $3 psychological resistance. I will not be able to tell you. Nobody can tell you. But at least the risk to reward ratio actually looks very worth it at this point. Okay, so for those of you who are thinking of buying, actually for Hong Leong Asia, I don't think right now is the right time to buy, because I think your upside is a little bit limited to the 280 first. But if prices were to retrace closer, let me just delete this. If prices were to retrace closer to that support level, that 240 new support level, maybe that's where you can position yourself for an entry to ride that upside towards 280. But so far, I think Hong Leong Asia still looking good at this point. Signs of that uptrend still continuing. Just a few key levels for you to take note of. So perhaps maybe you also want to just set up a alert, right? Get yourself alerted if that 280 level is breached, maybe 282, 283, 284. You know, just get yourself alerted towards that level. And of course, remember to protect your profits. Okay, so that is for Hong Leong Asia. I'll pass the time now to Z to cover the next stock for you guys.
All right, thank you, Bervyn. Okay, let me just share my screen. Okay, so I think the next one that I'll be sharing over here will be CapitaLand India Trust, right? That's by Sky. Sky, I hope you're still here. So you're saying that CapitaLand India Trust can sell or should hold, as it seems to be on the uptrend. So I would assume that you are already holding on to some positions, but it's just that I don't know where do you actually bought it, and when do you bought it, how much do you bought it, right? So for now, I would just assume that you have got the shares lah. Okay, you have got the shares, and we just look at the trend and what are some of the levels that potentially you can actually take note of. Okay, so you are saying that it seems to be on an uptrend, right? So if we just zoom in as to the recent price action over the past couple of months, and we just look at the moving average, right, I would say potentially there could be the uptrend forming, right? Because the red and the blue line is actually crossing each other, right? The red actually cross above the blue line, right? And the green line is actually pointing up, but it has flattened out, at least it hasn't pointed down. So that's still not too bad, right? And I guess it's because of this, and prices is pretty high compared to the past year, right? You are thinking, whether should you hold or should you take some profits now, or should you just let it ride further, right? Typically for REITs counter, right, like for CapitaLand counters, for REITs counters, typically it actually moves in a very sideways movement. Like if you realize, right, we were to look back, you can see that if there's nothing much going on in the market, the interest rates and things like that, it typically moves up and down in the sideways motion, and that's typically what we observe and what we ideally want to see happening in the REITs counter, because it's stable and people actually hold REITs counters like this is for dividends, right? It's for dividends, so you want it to be stable. And right now we are actually seeing some upward price movement, which is also good, right? Because on top of dividends, if let's say you can get a capital appreciation, why not, right? Why not? And over here now price is at about $1.17, $1.70, and you can see that I think the immediate support at this point in time, it will be at this $1.15, right? Because this was where price actually retested over here somewhere in October, right, as a resistance level, right, at the resistance. But right now, it seems to be holding above it. It's holding above it. And I think this 115 would be one of the immediate support level that perhaps you can actually take note of. All right. And in terms of resistance wise, right, definitely I would say it's at this $1.20 because over the past couple of weeks, right, actually since the end of July, we actually see this $1.20 being tested multiple times. One time, and over here, right, actually whenever prices near this 120, it seems to come back down, right? Selling pressure is pretty strong at the 120. And if we were to observe the price action, right, back in 2021, actually don't need to go so far lah, but we can actually just roughly take a look, right over here. This was where we actually also started to see selling pressure coming back, and that's where we also got a 1GT bearish signal, right? So coming back to where we are at right now, right? So your question is whether should you actually sell and take some profits. And the thing is that you can actually sell some position, right? It could be partial, it could be 1/3, but the question is where can you potentially sell some positions, or where can you potentially set some alerts, right, as a potential sell zone. I would say definitely near this level right over here, near the $1.20. I think there's nothing wrong to actually take some profits near this $1.20 lah, right over here, right? Then if you are thinking of perhaps adding more positions, perhaps that somewhere around this level, right, somewhere around the support level here, this is where you can also set some price alerts, right, to actually alert yourself, to actually monitor this stock, whether can it really continue to hold above this $1.15. Because if I want to draw your attention to this, let me just box it up for you guys, okay? Like over here, like that. Just focus on the moving average, and right over here. Can you see that it's actually pretty similar as well? The green line is actually above the red line and the blue line, and the red line and blue line just kind of like just cross each other. So can it potentially whereby the green line, the green 20 days moving average flatten out and point back down? Can it happen once again? I would say can lah. Why cannot, right? If I were to copy and paste this and I were to put it here, can it happen like that? Yeah, it can, right? If it breaks the $1.50, it could become like that, right? And then perhaps maybe a couple of weeks later, we can get another 1GT bearish signal. So if you were to ask me, should you actually take some profit? I say there is nothing wrong to actually take some profits, right? Especially if prices can actually hit back to this $1.20 or near this $1.20. It is okay. It's okay to actually take some profits, to lock in some profits, because anyway, you'll also still be collecting dividends. I believe if you have bought this counter many years back, probably you are still collecting dividends along the way for this counter as well. All right. So that would be for CapitaLand India Trust. Can take note of the 115 and also the 120 level as well. All right. So for Sky, I hope that helps. I'll pass the time back over to Joey to cover the next stock.
All right, thank you so much, Z. All right, so that's CapitaLand India Trust. Now let's move on to the next one, right? And that would be UMS, right? So I think we have like more than 300 of you joining us today. Thank you so much for those of you who have been typing in the chat, guys. You can see, guys, that we have more than 50. In fact, I've counted like more than 60 over comments, chats, stocks that are asked. So first thing first, I just want to say our apologies if we cannot cover all of it. There's just too many stocks. It probably take 10 hours or something, right? So we'll do our best. We try to cover more, but that currently right now, I think that would be stock number 7. All right, so let's take a look at this stock right here. And that will be asked by first last, right? Hi, good morning, right? UMS seems to be on the support line for days, right? Should enter now. Okay, so first last, I think you are thinking to buy, I think to buy because maybe it came down a bit, then a bit cheaper, right? So maybe you want to buy, right? So let's find out if it's time to buy, or maybe you should wait a few more days, or maybe you should don't buy first, right? You want to wait for certain things to happen, right? Let's see. Okay, so this is UMS. You can see that, well, I'll not go too far, but for UMS, since last year, right? Since last year, if you ask me in 2024, actually the longer term trend was down. Look at the red line and the blue line. They're both pointing down. And of course, you can see for yourself that we got a couple of bearish signals, red color one coming out, right? And then all the way down, another bearish one. Of course, don't go and buy lah. The trend down plus bearish signal come out, you go and buy for what, right? So you want to wait for signs of a reversal, signs of the trend turning up. And that kind of like happened, I would say, somewhere around April and May, right? Whereby we saw the longer term moving averages. Look at the red and blue line now, right? The red is above the blue. So now it has turned into a longer term uptrend. Not now, in fact, since a few months back, right? But in order for the red to be above the blue, it need to cross above the blue, right? So when did it actually cross? Well, it actually crossed right over here, somewhere in April, in May, right over here. So when it happened, right, we actually sent out a note as well, whereby we got, the trend turning from down or sideways to up. We got the first 1 GT bullish signal coming out. 2 weeks later, we got the second 1 GT bullish signal coming out, right? As we tended to break the resistance level. And there we go. The green line, and the green line that represents the short-term trend also started to turn up, right? From down, up. Until now, we saw a bearish red color 1 GT signal coming out, right? So maybe you guys can help me out, right? Help me to advise first class right up here, right? Seems to be on the support line for this. Should enter now. Let's type in the chat. Y for yes, N for no, guys. Let's do a little bit of a survey based on what we're seeing right now. Should we enter now? Type Y for yes, N for no, right? So let's go ahead to try to see if we can advise first class together lah. Huh? What do you guys think? Buy, enter now, like now means like now kind of thing, like now what price? Now is 138, all right? Should we enter now? Or maybe we should wait, all right? Or type Y for yes, N for no. Let me know, right? Let's see. I saying no, all right? Ifly, no as well. Couple of no's, no, right? Chukim, some yes, no. Mostly no. Andy, no as well. William, no as well. No. Energized Boot, no. Support not proven. Looks like more downside. Colleen say wait as well. Thank you so much for helping me out here. Well, I think, yeah, I mean, look at these guys. This is what some of you are saying as well, right? But let me pull out first class comment as well, right? So first class, it seems to be on the support line for this. So let's take a look at, is it true that it's on the support line for this? Let me see. Well, actually quite true. We are back to this support, I would say around the $1.35. Look at this, right? 135 was a bit of a resistance level in June, right? Touch, always cannot go up. Finally, bam, we broke the 135 all the way up, right, to 160. So let's draw this resistance level at 160, right? But what happens? We got a 1 GT bearish signal coming out again. So let me explain to you guys why did the 1 GT bearish signal come out, right? Well, you can see when we first got the 1 GT bullish signal, the first one right over here in April, right? Well, we got what we call a trailing support popping out. So trailing support, I think Bervyn has mentioned as well, Zee has talked about it. Well, it actually follows a stock as it moves up. It gives it the breathing space to move up. It goes up, it follows it. It never go up, then nothing to follow, right? But it goes up, it follow, right? And you give it the space, right? To hopefully let it go up some more, right? And if you're above the trailing support line, so you can see there's some space, right? It's like space between the price and the line that is following it as go up, right? So this line has popped up since April. April follow until, last week, until 142. So from 95 cents, it follow until $1.40, right? But what happens? We have gone below it, right? Below the trailing support level. And that's the reason why we got a 1 GT bearish signal. And of course, the green line that is going up also start to point down. Does it make sense, Mark? All right. So I would say that right now, we are not entirely out of the woods yet. So those of you who say like maybe no or wait, well, I would say that I would prefer to wait for some more confirmation, all right, before thinking about riding the reversal to get back in, right, to catch as it moves up again, right? Then some of you might ask me, hey, Joey, then what is the reversal? What are you looking for? Well, very simple, right? First of all, well, we have found some support at about 135. So 135 was a resistance, turn support level. So not too bad, right? That is a pretty good support level that we have been holding, not like 1-2 day, but at least 1 over week. Does it make sense? So still okay, at least not 1-2 days, right? So it's kind of like proven that it's not too bad a support, at least never go below the support, right? I can tell you, if we break below the 135, then different, this green line will continue to point out some more, right? I don't know, but if we break 135 support, right, that is, for more than 1 week, we're above the green 20 days moving average line, will continue to point down. But if we stay above the 135, let's say next week, still above, right? Next week, we do our AMAS, and then you see the price is still 138, 135, 13 something, right? Then I can tell you, that is where this green 20 days moving average line, right? It will not go down already, right? It will start to flatten out. Why? Because the support has been proven now, right? We have been rebounding from there. The short-term trend will turn from down to sideways, right? Something like this, all right? So that's sideways, but whether it turn up, that's another thing. So if we can see some signs of the trend in the short term starting to turn up, like over here, right? The green line come like, turning from down to sideways to up. And if we do see a new bullish signal coming, something like this, look at this right over here, right? So previously, we got 1 GT bearish signal, right? Right over here, right? We sold off in like 3rd of April, right? When Trump introduced tariffs. 2 1 GT bearish signal. And there we go. The green line turned down. What happens? We got the first bullish signal, the second bullish signal. The green line that was going down also started to turn up. Does it make sense about? Right? So what if what if we can see something like this over here, right? This green line that is going down start to turn up. All right. And if you could if I could take from here and then all right, of course, this one a bit different now. Now we got one bearish signal, the other time got two, right? But let's say we see this green line. Right? Let me just take from here and copy and paste and put over here something like that huh? So let's say we will see a new, and then this one also I can take and paste like this one we take from here and then we maybe paste over here Does it make sense for if we see a bullish signal coming out, the short-term trend also turn up. The long-term trend, don't need to say, they're already up since since April already, really settled already, right? And that would be signs of the reversal. All right, that is where there's more conviction for the trade to ride it, to get back in, to ride the reversal, right? So if you want to get in now, not say cannot, but just that you only got one confirmation. Normally for us, we want to wait for at least 4 to more confirmations, right? Based on our one good trend strategy, based on the indicator, then that will be what we call a high conviction trade. All right, first class. So I hope that helps. First class. All right, so still okay. Put in a watch list. I mean, definitely it's one of the stocks in the watch here as well. So we can send an alert. So for example, some people might ask me, Joey, then the bullish signal come out, can let me know or not. What I can do is that because I have these two right over here, the one good trend pro indicator, I could send an alert. Look at this, right click, add alert. One good trend pro buy or sell alert, right? Once per bar, create. I'm not going to do it because I already did it, right? But basically, once there's a new bullish signal coming out, right, then I'll be alerted. Then I go and see whether the green line and then some other things right, then that could guide me to get back in again to ride the reversal when the time comes. Not now, right? Soon. I don't know, maybe next week or next week, right? But that's what we're looking out for. Okay, Ken? So that is for UMS first class. I hope that helps. Let me pass on the mic to Bervyn to cover the next Singapore stock.
All right, thanks, Joey. All right, okay, let's just see here. Let me just throw my screen up. Okay, so for the next stock I'm going to cover would be actually this Yangzijiang Shipbuilding. I think ICE was asking about it. Yangzijiang bought it at 2.97, so probably bought it very recently. They have the past few days, but now going to resistance level around 290. Should still hold or exit. I believe you mean that is pulling back from that close to that $3 level. All right, okay. So let's just take a look. But maybe before that, because I saw some of the chat is asking for some of the stocks that we have already went through. So I'd just like to recap what we have already went through. So later on, when the replay is up after this whole live session comes to an end, you'll be able to actually look at the stocks that we actually have already covered. I can get your opinions from there as well. If you need any further comments, yeah, you can just leave it in the comment section. We'll be able to take a look from there as well. All right, so I think at the start, Joey covered two indexes, the S&P 500 and the Straits Times Index, followed by covering the ST Engineering, and then Centurion Corporation. Then Z covered China Sunshine. Then went back to Joey covering Propnex. I covered Hong Leong Asia subsequently. And then CapitaLand India Trust. Joey just covered UMS. And then now we're going to look at Yangzijiang Shipbuilding. All right. Okay, so look at it here. We actually see Yangzijiang Shipbuilding. I think we are back to where we were sometime in February. All right, sometime in February, just before the tariffs actually kicked in. We actually were close to that $3 level, holding above it for just one day before prices subsequently took a steep drop towards that $2.20 support level. So I think just have to notice quite a few things right here, that 20 days moving average at that point of time started to slope down, crossing below that 100 days, 200 days moving average, right? Stayed below it for I think quite a few months, about 4 months or so, finally pointing up and moving up, and that 100 days moving average crossing below that 200 days moving average in May. And right now, this 100 days moving average is still below that 200 days moving average, but it looks like it's gaining a little bit of a momentum. It's started to point up, and maybe perhaps if prices can continue to consolidate close to that $3 resistance level, can see that 100 days moving average, maybe even crossing that 200 days moving average. So if you can see that 200 days moving average has been rather flat, has been rather flat since February not moving much, are just moving sideways a little bit. This is because prices have been pretty much just been in a wider range for the entire period of this year. All right, so we are looking to see if prices, all right, eyes, you want to see if prices are able to break above that $3 psychological resistance. That is why we have a couple of alerts already being set up right here. You can follow and just set up some alerts right here, so you get yourself notified if that $3 level finally gives way and we could achieve that new high, and that target could be drawn towards that $3.30 level. All right, so to come back to your question, is it time to hold or is it a time to exit? I think as your entry was rather close to that resistance, ideally we do not want to have an entry close to a resistance level. We want to have an entry somewhere closer to a support level, where right now that support level is about 270. So it's okay, since you have entered already, you just want to be aware of like the support level. So I think right now maybe it's too early to call it, so you may want to just turn on that trailing support and resistance line. Look at this right here, that trailing support is very, very close to that 270 support. Right, this 270 support was tested back then in January. If prices were to head back towards this support, yes, maybe you can see buyers come back, but in your case, you may want to set up some alerts if this 270 support is broken, to actually help yourself get out, or to set up some stop limit orders if this key support level doesn't hold. So that should cover your exit. But of course, that being said, you would probably be having to take a loss lah. All right, having to take a loss if prices hit below that 270 level. All right, so if for yourself, I think you can continue to hold as long as we see the signs of that nearer term uptrend, or that nearer term momentum continuing. So what are the signs you want to look out for? You want to look out for that 20 days moving average continuing to point up, to move higher. All right, and the next thing you want to look out for is that 100 days moving average crossing above that 200 days moving average, like that. Something will look something like this. Great. I think those are signs of a continuation of that uptrend reversal. All right, so then your next target could be placed maybe somewhere close to that 330 level, where if you come back, you see, hey, is it time to take out some profits as prices close that 330 level? Yes, then I'll agree with you. Nothing wrong to go and sell some of those shares close to that $3.30 level. So you want to continue to play out that one GT bullish signals. One appear in May, the second one appeared in July, and perhaps if prices can firmly break above that $3 level, yes, another one GT bullish signal could appear. You know, that's that additional confirmation that you need. All right, guys, hopefully that helps. You know, have a plan or have a trading plan. Either way, prices move. Okay, so I will pass the time now to Z to cover the next stock for you guys.
All right, thank you, Bervyn. Okay, so the next stock that I will be sharing will be by Clement, right? Clement, I hope you're still here. Clement is asking about Genting Sing, right? Short-term trend sloping up with 100 MA 100 flattening. Based on 1GT indicator, is it a good time to enter? Very good question. Let's take a look at this, all right? So for Genting Sing, as you can see, like since 2024, right, downtrend has been pretty much intact, right? Even if let's say I turn off everything, and y'all just look at this, right? What can we see? We can spot, like, you know, lower highs being formed, right? It's just gradually going lower and lower and lower and lower, right? So even if you don't turn on anything, you know that generally the stock is actually going down, right? And if let's say I turn on the signals, we can actually get more additional confirmation with like the moving averages as well as the signals, right? So let's zoom in and take a look at what has been happening over the past couple of months. So over the past couple of months, Clement also mentioned that short-term trend is sloping up with 100 days MA flattening out. Let's take a look at this, all right? So short-term trend, we look at the green line, right? Green line, what do we see? It has, you know, go up and down, up and down, up and down, and then somewhere start of June, in late June, start of July, that's where we see it started to slope up and it started to flatten out, right? So yes, I would say it seems like the short term has been gaining some strength, right? And we do get a 1GT bullish signal. That's right. But we also want to make sure that the longer term trend is actually aligned with the shorter term trend, right? Not just purely look at the short term trend and we see a 1GT bullish signal, then what? We straight away go and buy it. No, we still have to look at the bigger picture. We want to take a look at the bigger picture. We want to take a look at where are some of the levels, and is there more confirmation on our end to make sure that, you know, it when we enter, it's more of a higher probability trade, right? So when you take a longer term trend, what do we see? We see that the blue line is actually kind of like still pointing down, right? The 200 days moving average is actually still pointing down. The red line, which is the 100 days moving average that Cameron is talking about, it has kind of like slope and gently flattening out and starting to show some signs of it pointing back up. Great, right? That's all good sign. But I think the key here, right, is because since 2024, like I've mentioned, right, over here, we already start to see that the longer term trend is really going down. So we want to have more confirmation, right, that the longer term trend has indeed turned up and aligned with the short term trend, then before we actually take some action. That's why for this, right, I would say it will be good for us to actually monitor, like, when the 100 days moving average can break and hold above the 200 days moving average, then potentially we might actually see an uptrend reversal. Provided that, of course, now prices, we see that, it has kind of like just been consolidating sideways, right? And I would say the immediate support, as you can see over here, will be somewhere around the 70 cents psychological level, right? Resistance, as you can see, is about 75 cents. This was where, it has been tested a couple of times, right? And even right here in the Q4 of 2024, this was where it actually broke down, tested, nearly unable to break above. So I would say 75 cents would be the immediate resistance, right? So if prices is actually able, to break and hold above the 75 cents, do you think that it is more likely that the 100 days moving average can actually cross above the blue line like so? I would think so. If prices can actually break and hold above the resistance at 75 cents, right? And in that situation, I think that would be a higher probability that this particular stock, right, in terms of the trend, right, the moving averages, the short term and the long term will be more aligned, and that's where potentially we can get a higher probability winning trade, because if I were to remove all of it, and Cameron, you were saying that at this point in time, we are thinking to enter. But at this point in time, if you take a look at the support and the resistance, where your price is at now, it seems like you're in the middle of nowhere, right? It's a bit like stuck there, in the middle of nowhere. Not very near the resistance, not very near the support, and based on the 1GT framework, we always think about buying near a support level. And of course, not just anyhow buy. If you want to have more confirmation, then we think about buying to have a higher probability winning trade, right? So I would say for now, perhaps what you can potentially do, number one, is to set an alert, right? We can set a price alert above the 75 cents, 75.55, 76 cents, 77 cents. Set all your price alert, right, to see whether prices can actually break and hold above these 75 cents. That's number one. And number two, what you can also set is, apart from setting price alert, set a 1GT bullish signal alert, right? Change it to 1GT, one good trend pro. You want to be a bit more careful, you can set both buy and sell alert also can, right? Once a bar and wait, right? And that will actually alert you if there's another 1GT bullish signal coming out, giving you additional confirmation of a potential uptrend also. Alright? And then if prices can break and hold above these 75 cents, right? I think what we are looking for, what the questions that most of us would have would be, okay, then potential upside target to where, right? To where? So I would say that the next potential upside target, right, I think perhaps we can look towards this 85 cents first, right? Because this was where Q4 of 2024, this was where we actually started to see selling pressure coming back in, and we got multiple 1GT bearish signal, right? And even before that, right over here in April, May, June, this period, this level 85 cents was also tested. So I would say for now, if prices can break and go over the 75 cents, I think potential upside target that we can look towards would be the 85 cents. But of course, that being said, do take a look at what are some of the confirmations that you have before actually taking further action. All right. So that would be for Genting Sing. I'll pass the time back over to Joey to cover the next topic.
All right, thank you so much. Good one on Genting Sing. So do watch out, guys. Do watch out for the next 1GT bullish signal that Zee have shared, right? Basically, guys, I want to share with you guys, in case you'd like to find out a bit more as to how to maybe even get alerted to this signal, all right, that comes out to get in. Maybe see a bullish one, maybe to get out, you see a red 1GT bearish signal, right? So what I want to share, guys, is that if you want, you can test drive my one good trend, right? One good trend pro indicator. All right, let me just show you right over here. So you can test drive by one good trend, light indicator. All right, so we are using the pro version, right? Me, Bervyn and Zee, what we'll be using will be the pro version. There's more advanced features, more stuff, right? More advanced stuff, right? But if you want, you can test drive the one good trend light version for free, right? So Tim can place the link in the chat, right? Right over here, you can see you will come to this page. most incredible free gift ever in the stock market, right? Test drive my one good trend line indicator to know when to get in, when to buy, when to sell, and get an opinion on any stocks in seconds. So the one good trend line indicator is a simpler version, all right? You're just able to turn on the boxes in terms of the bullish and bearish signals, right? There's no other advanced stuff, but it's good enough. You like it simple, all right? So do check it out. The link is right in the chat. Click on it. You'll come to this page over here and you get $3,997 worth of training for free, just for saying maybe just to test drive this 1GT light indicator, all right? All the details are pretty much on this page, right? Link is in the chat. Okay, Ken? Now, let's move on. Let's move on right now to the next Singapore stock. Right? Well, and that would be what we call CNMC Goldmine, right? CNMC Goldmine. So I think we have, let's see, Colleen. Hi, Colleen Chung. Hi, is CNMC Goldmine a buy now? The CEO has been selling his shares daily over the past week. Oh, really? I don't know, right? Is this a concern, right? So is it a buy now? You're thinking to maybe get in, right? Okay, let's see. I think we have one more as well asking about CNMC Goldmine. So Colleen is like, should you buy lah? Huh? We have VC. Have some CNMC Goldmine stocks with profit. Okay, so VC is different. You already bought already lah. Right? You are sitting on profit because maybe already gone up. Still can accumulate more, or maybe sell what you already have, something like that, right? Okay, so let's go to find out right now. So 2% asking about CNMC Goldmine. So CNMC Goldmine, what are the gold plays lah? Gold mining stocks price is 0.625 right now. So you can see that it has been in a pretty strong uptrend in the longer term since last year. Look at the red and the blue line. I mean, red above the blue, both pointing up. The longer term uptrend is intact lah. All right. But if you ask me, the short term trend is not always up lah. Right. Short term can be up and then boring and then up and then boring again and then up and then now hopefully not boring lah. All right. But I would say that the short term trend can be up and down or sideways. All right. So it was sideways and it turned up. So right now I would say the short term trend is up as well. All right, so let's go to take a look at some signals. Let's see if you know what to say, right? So you can test drive the 1GT light indicator. All right, this is the pro version. It's more advanced, with more other boxes and stuff, more confirmations required. But the light version, pretty much like this first box right at the top, like show buy or sell signals, right? So let's turn it on, pump, right? And the light version also have what we call the moving averages, just to give you an idea of the trend in the longer term and the short term. All right, so let's turn on the first box, the bullish or bearish signals. 1, 2, 3, pump. There we go. Let's see, right? So this is CNMC Goldmine. Wow. I'm not go too far, but I think you guys can see for yourself that every time you got a bullish signal plus the trend turns up, all the way up. A few more bullish signal get out. We got a bearish signal over here. Or April, no wonder. So I think April 7, April 4, April, most of the stocks got hit. Most of the stocks got triggered with a bearish signal. Why? Because Trump introduced the tariffs, right? So we broke certain support. And yeah, a week later, a new bullish signal came out, went up, sideways, another bullish signal came out, and there we go. So what we could do, very simple, to see whether is it still good to buy or not, is we can turn on the trailing support level. So I talked about it just now, right? So this trailing support basically has popped up right over here in April when we got the first 1GT bullish signal, all right? And since then, it has followed CNMC Goldmine as it moved even higher, up, flat, up, flat, follow, right? From 30 cents follow until now become 56 cents, all right? And quite clearly, you could see that this trailing support, prices is still above it. Does it make sense? All right? It's still above the trailing support. And there's some space, right? This trailing support, give it space, right? Between the price and the trailing support. So it counts for volatility, right? For any natural pullbacks, that's fine, no issue. If you're above it, it's fine. All right, so we are above it, plus the green line still pointing up. So I think it's still okay. So what we want to do is that if it does dip to near the trailing support, plus we get certain confirmations like the candlestick, that could be a good re-entry to get back in to ride even more upside. So let's assume that you never get in previously, right? From here all the way to here, I would say about 79%. I know it's so much, right? 79%, right? Since like about April, so about 4 or 5 months, 79%, right? So let's say you never get in there, right? But what could be a re-entry? Well, any dips near a trailing support could be a pretty good re-entry, especially if we see some bullish candlestick pattern coming, all right? And especially if the short-term trend, the green line obviously is still pointing up, right? The next one will be if it doesn't dip to near the trailing support, that give it the space. So as I say, this trailing support is a bit lower. Why? Because got space, right? With some space below it, right? But doesn't mean you want it to dip, means you dip, right? What if you don't dip, right? And it stays above the horizontal support right over here, maybe around that 60 cents. So 60 cents seems a bit like a horizontal support that came out over the past 2 to 3 weeks. So 60 cents to about that 65 cents. You can see for the past 2 weeks, and up and down, up, down, 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 down. I don't know whether how long it will be like that, right? But seems like 60 cents to 65 cents is the consolidation range right now, which is okay, right? I think it's good to take a break, right? Look at this, right? We took a break for like 3-4 months and suddenly all the way, right? So now we can take a break again, rest from 60 cents to 65 cents. If you want to time your entry near 60 cents, I think that's okay, all right? As long as you stay above that 56 cents trailing support, it still looks pretty okay, right? So VC, back to your question, still can accumulate more or sell? Well, take some profit if you want near 65, nothing wrong. I mean, if you go to like 64, 63, something near the resistance at 65 cents, right? You can take some profit, right? Can also lah, because that's where we have, sellers have came back over the past 1-2 weeks, right? So take some profit, but don't take all. I mean, as I say, that there's still, it looks still pretty okay, right? Why you want to take all after the sell? It didn't go up some more, right? So still okay. Write some more, take some if you want. I'm looking at more upside, especially if the 65 cents resistance level were to give way. If that happens, we break 65, we go to 66, 67, we see a new 1GT bullish signal coming out, right? The short-term trend still pointing out. Don't you think that that there could potentially be more upside? Does it make sense about? All right, and that's where I think targets could be raised, maybe all the way to even that 70 or even 75 cents as well. All right, so this is CNMC Goldmine. Hope you guys have a better opinion on CNMC Goldmine. One of the stocks that we actually covered as well. I think we've shared with our clients a couple of times by WhatsApp since a few weeks back as well. Right, so those of you who are clients of mine in Philips Securities, you can check out WhatsApp. I think definitely we'll send out a note to you on WhatsApp, apart from Propnex and the rest. All right, okay. So those of you who are not yet a client, just place the link in the chat again one more time, guys. Find out how you can become a client of mine in Philips Securities to get some of those top ideas daily for free by WhatsApp with some private trainings, articles, updates on a daily basis. You do not pay anything more. All right, Ken. So let's pass on the mic to Bervyn to cover the next Singapore stock.
All right, thanks, Joey. Okay, so let's just throw it up here. Okay, so I think Lam is asking, please analyze Sembcorp Industries. I bought it at 6.77 recently. I think earlier on, I think there was quite a few people that were asking about Sembcorp Industries as well. I think yes, because prices have came back down, right? Prices have pulled back a little bit. Okay, not just a little bit, quite a little bit, right? Breaking through a few support levels already very, very quickly. I think this was on the backs of like a very bad earnings report, very not as expected or not what the company has expected as well. So I think right now, let me just turn off all the lines very quickly. Let's just leave that buy and sell signal. All right, okay, so right here on the 8th of August, all right, National Day weekend, we actually saw that this 1GT bearish signal actually came in. Prices swiftly broke below that $7, opened below that $7, not able to get back above that $7 level, closed 40 cents down at $6.63. All right, then the subsequent week it slipped even further, breaking that 650 level, break that 650 level, and then right now we are currently trading about 607. I think market is on break, but yeah, it was about 607. So I think right now, if we just look at the nearer term, all right, let's not look at the longer term first. The nearer term, we got that 20 days moving average pointing down, crossing below that 100 days moving average. All right, obviously prices are below that 20 days moving average, below that 100 days moving average, and right now also below that 200 days moving average. So is prices going to be heading lower? I think it's quite hard to say. I think looking like the prices have been consolidating at this level for the past 2 weeks, but the stronger support looks to be around that $5.50 level, where previously was the resistance tested in October, tested in December, tested earlier this year, came back down, tested in March, tested in April. This looks to be a very, very key level where actually buyers are perhaps waiting for prices to retrace even further in order to get in. But I think if you are looking, for those of you who are looking to actually buy right now, I think not a good sign. You want to wait for further confirmation, like what Joey have also mentioned. Wait for that further confirmation. Right now, you got all signs, signs pointing against you. You got that 1GT bearish signal here. you got that 20 days moving average pointing down, you got prices not close to a support, not close to a resistance, just moving sideways, prices under that 200 days moving average. The only thing it got for it, or they got going for it, is that 200 days moving average is still pointing up. Other than that, there are no signs or no signals telling us to buy. All right, so Lum, if you're bought at 677, of course, I hope you will have managed to sell when prices broke that 650 support, but we can't reverse time. We can't reverse time. So I think right now you want to watch out for the key level of 553. Maybe you may have to extend your losses if you want to hold until prices break below that 553 level and have a stop loss below it. But I think for sure, firstly, you have to have an alert with prices breaking below 550, and one alert if prices are coming close to that 550 level. So I think 2 alerts should be sufficient for you. And if we are able to see prices or the 20 days moving average just moving sideways a little bit, then pointing back up, yeah, I think that is a good sign that a reversal could be in play. Okay, a reversal could be in play, but I think the further confirmation where we need is if prices are able to break above that 650 level once again, then I think that upside back to that $7 would be possible in the near term. But when will that happen? I think it's hard to say right now. I think as of right now, that nearer term weakness is still present. So I think there's a good thing, Lam. Lucky you never say you are looking to actually buy more. You're just looking probably for a stop loss level as well. Yeah, so you're probably already sitting on some losses, right? Maybe you want to reduce a little bit of exposure if the weakness continues as well, right? Okay, so I think that's a very, very quick one for Sembcorp Industry. Hopefully we see a reversal soon. Zee, I'll pass the time to you to cover the next stock.
All right, thank you, Bervyn. Okay, so let me just very quickly share my screen. And I think the next stock that I'll be covering will be China Aviation, right, by Judy. So Judy, I hope you are here. Okay, so let's take a look at China Aviation. China Aviation, actually over the past year, right, you can see that it all just like going sideways, not much of a movement, all three moving averages getting sideways. We get multiple 1GT bullish and very like flipping up and down, but generally sideways, right? Only somewhere in June, July, this period, actually even middle to date of June, that's where we have started to see more action regarding to this counter. And that's where I think more interest came back to this counter. Especially so after the 1GT bullish signal, right, we started to see the price of this stock actually surge all the way up. Alright, so then I'm just curious, I think just the 1GT bullish signal first appeared somewhere in April. Where we are at now, that's close to 70%, right? That's pretty fantastic, right? I would say. And at this point in time, there is still no 1GT bearish signal yet, right? And we were to look at the trend, which is the moving averages. I think this is a very classic like uptrend moving averages that we want to actually take note of, right? Because the green is pointing up, red is pointing up, blue is actually pointing up. So green above the red above the blue. Great. That's what we want to see, right? That's what we want to see for an uptrend, right? And Judy is asking, like, he said you bought at $1.05, and is there any further upside? So let me just see. You bought $1.05. Where you are at now? Wow, that's about 28% already. 28%. You're sitting on 28% profits. Congratulations, right, Judy? So you're asking whether is there any further upside. Should you? I believe you are thinking whether should you actually take some profit, or should you actually continue holding on to the stock to let the profit track even further, right? So let's take a look at some of the levels, okay? So very key level, right? I would say before even we talk about this, the very key level I would say is at the $1.20 mark, right? Because this was where for about 1 to 2 weeks or so, right, we actually saw price being tested, right, as a resistance at this $1.20. Sellers came in, pushed prices back down, and it managed to fall above the $1.10 before it actually break above the 120 again. So it was actually, kind of like consolidating sideways in about 1 to 2 weeks range here. And when this kind of consolidation happens, right, in an uptrend, it is good, right? It is good. And price actually broke above the $1.20 and stayed up even higher, right? So 120, that is definitely one support that we have to think about. And over the past couple of weeks, let me just read it. And we can actually that, prices have kind of like found a new higher support, right? I think slightly higher than the $1.50. Somewhere about this $1.30, right? After this long bullish candlestick appeared, the next couple of days, and you can see the candlestick over here, it has been staying above the $1.30. So I would say it seems like $1.30 is the new immediate support that we are actually looking at, right? And if you ask me what is the upside or what is the resistance, right? I would say because now price is pretty much I wouldn't say it's the all-time high. I think all-time high was back in 2017, but that's far too long back, right? But even so, you can see that it was very near to the $1.40. But based on current price, and the current price action, usually when the stock is actually at a high, right, that it has been over the past couple of years, one of the ways that we can actually do our target projection would be using a psychological level, right? So I would say the immediate psychological level, as you can see, like a round nice number, usually are levels that whereby you can actually roughly gauge your targets, right? So that would be, I would draw it at about $1.40, right? $1.40. So for Judy, if you are thinking about taking some profits, nothing wrong. You can potentially take some profits near the $1.40. Be it half position, one third of your position, nothing wrong, right? Nothing wrong to take some profits near the 140. So this is where you can potentially set some price alerts, right? To alert you if prices can actually head up towards this $1.40, and this is potentially where you can actually take some profits, right? The other way is that if you want to continue to ride your uptrend further, right? You want to continue to ride this stock, right? One way is that you can actually place your stop limit order slightly below a support level, right? And just now we have established that the new higher support is at about $1.30, right? So one way is you can potentially set your stop limit order maybe a few bits below, 2 to 3 bits below the support level right over here to actually protect your profit while you continue to ride uptrend. That is potentially okay as well, right? But of course, this one is if you are a bit more risk adverse, because if I were to turn on the trailing support function, the trailing support function, as just now what Bervyn and Joey had mentioned earlier on, it follows the prices as it goes up, right? It trails the prices as it moves up, right? So, and right now you can see that the trailing support is somewhere near this $1.20. So, if you are someone who is a bit more of a risk taker and you want to give it more room for the stock to breathe, this is where you can also potentially place a stop limit order as well to continue to ride the trend. So it's up to you, because the thing is that the risk appetite, I cannot say, right? Everybody has different risk appetite. So it depends on where you want to place your stop limit order, but generally you place a stop limit order below a support level, right? And you can continue to actually ride the uptrend for this stock, especially if the uptrend still remains intact at this point, right? All right. So that would be for China Aviation. Judy, I hope that helps from the levels that you can take note and potentially take some active steps, right, to actually protect your profits up. Because since you're already sitting on almost close to 30% profit now. All right. So that will be for China Aviation. Passing the time back over to Joey to cover the stock.
All right, thank you so much, Z. All right, so let's move on, guys. Let's move on. So, what happens is that we have covered a total of, I would say, 12 stocks already. All right, let's just do one more round. All right, so 12 plus 3, let's just do a total of 15 Singapore stocks today. All right, and the next one that I'll be covering will be asked by Yan Chan. Yan Chan, hope you're still over here, Yan. All right, Food Empire. All right, Food Empire. So you talk about two stocks, right? Thoughts on SGX, Food Empire, please, and the RLSL stop loss per the one good trend. Time to take profit or accumulate more for dividends. So I'll just look at your second stock called Food Empire. And by the way, guys, right, as I say, we have more than 60 over stocks. Ask in the chat, you can do a quick count, more than 50 in fact, right? So our apologies if we cannot cover all of it. And as I say, right, at the end, me, Bervyn and Zee, each of us will share with you one stock that that we like, that you could put your watch list by. We saw some bullish signals coming out that could potentially be more upside. So if the stock that you ask, if it's actually inside, right, it's actually inside the top stocks at the end, then maybe we'll not cover it because we want to cover 2 times, right? So I don't know, right? So maybe if you never cover a stock, then maybe it might be a top stock at the end whereby we want to share with you. So make sure you stay all the way to the end to check if the stock that you're asking about is actually the top stock. That's why we never cover lah. All right, but if we really never cover and it's not the top stock, then my apologies. All right, hopefully you can join us next Friday again as we do our live free Friday weekly AMAS session. Okay, so now let's go ahead to look at Food Empire right now. That's asked by Yan, right? So Food Empire, Is it time to take profit? All right. So I think you got in versus the price bought. So the price you bought would be at $1.30. $1.30. So let's see. Food Empire you bought now what price? Now it's $2.41. You bought 130, is it? 130. So 130 is where? Wow, over here. Oh, do you see this bullish signal yet? I think you got in right over here. I don't know. Maybe you're a graduate of mine. You got access to the same tools that we're using, right? So I think maybe you got in right over here at about 130, right? Not too bad, not too bad. I mean, 130 now is 241. Confirm make money, right? So, but I'm just not too sure whether you saw this bullish signal that triggered that move. And you can see from that very first bullish signal that came out after the bearish one, we've gone up by about 92% in about 4 months, right? Not too bad, right? I think not as powerful as Propnex, but also not too bad, right? So as I said, the Singapore market over the past 2-3 months, we've been seeing a lot of strength coming back, small to mid cap, not just the banks, and many of the stocks have been pushing higher. We've been calling for it, all right, sending out notes to our clients on WhatsApp. And it still looks pretty bullish, right? So let's take a look, all right, at this stock again, whereby is it still time to accumulate more? Maybe to take some profit. So I would say that for Food Empire, right, you want to write down here now this resistance level for any of you who is looking at this stock, right? The $2.50 psychological resistance level. 2.50. Why? I mean, this resistance has been, holding, I would say, since July for more than a month, almost more than a month, right? We always start and then come back down. We see a bearish candle come back down. Last week, come back down again, right? So that is a very key level. Support level would be around that $2.20. So the range is quite clearly from $2.20 to $2.50. Go up, down, up, down, up, down. Now we are at $2.41. So it seems like, for this Food Empire, well, the longer term uptrend is intact. The short term trend, you can see that is like up, and then the green line flat, and then up, then flat, then up, and then now it's like flat again. All right. So I don't know, right? It seems like it likes to do what we call take a rest in the short term for about 1 month, 2 months before it, kind of like breaks the resistance to push even higher. And I like that as well. All right. In fact, that's healthy. That's a sustainable uptrend. So for example, like previously, right? It was like up, right? Up, and then like flat, rest for a while, then it starts going up, right? So maybe if I can take from here, right? Then we paste something like that, we paste over here. Well, maybe it might just flatten out one more and then it starts to go up, right? Maybe next week, right? So the key here is that if we do see the green 20 days moving average line is like going flat, start to point up, like this, like that, well, that would be signs of strength again. That is where if we break the 250 psychological resistance level, we go to 251. So now you can see every time we go to 249, 248, 247, then touch always come back down, all right? But one fine day, I don't know, don't ask me when now, right? I don't know, but of course if it happens, I'll know, because you can see that I've set my alerts. So what I've done is I've set my alerts right over here, see? 252, 253, 254, ding, 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 my phone will ring non-stop, I confirm one, right? So basically once it goes there, right, that's where I want to see and look for some price action now. So maybe let me just set 251, right, just to be a bit clearer as well. So 251 done, 252, 253, 254, 255. If it goes above 250 and the green line starts to turn up and we get another 1 GT bullish signal coming out right over here, and that's where I want to be alerted. So of course I've set my alerts already, all right? So that's where I want to be alerted. That could lead the next phase of upside, all right? Because we just get not just 1 or 2 confirmations, but at least 3 or 4 confirmations. If we get it, I think that is where it could be poised to hit even higher, all right? So maybe all the way to 260, 280, or even $3 targets could then be raised, all right? So back to your question, Ian, I would say that it still looks okay, all right, in terms of like time to take profit. If you want to take some near 250, 248, 249, up to you, like something wrong, right? But don't take all, because I think it still looks okay, all right? And for me, I'm not looking at if 250 would break, that is where we could see even more upside. All right, Ken, so that will be Food Empire, all right? Bervyn, back to you.
All right, thanks, Joey. Okay, so I think the next one I want to cover, I think have to cover one once every SGMS, we have to cover a bank stock, right? Okay, so here we go. Holding OCBC with profit, but movement very slow. Okay, thought of selling to buy other stock. What price to sell? Oh, so that's being very, very specific. What price to sell? Okay, so just in on a general basis, I think all the bank stocks have been pretty much moving sideways, but you see those small to medium cap stocks, those are the ones that have been moving on a larger scale. That is because of what Joey have said. There is that re-injection or the injection of funds into the Singapore market done by MAS. So I think for OCBC, the other thing is their net interest margin have also came down a little bit, not as much as UOB, but it's coming down, but it affects the entire sector as well. So I think, but prices are holding rather well. All right, it's been holding rather well, not much movement. Yes, I understand a little bit boring, right? A little boring, but it is okay as long as we see this trend is still in our favor. Okay, so just looking at the trend right here, we can see that 100 days, 200 days moving average is still currently pointing up. Let me just delete this. Okay, that 20 days moving average, quite hard to see, but it looks like it's still slightly at the tail end of it. At the tail end of it is still sloping up. Okay, so we just keep it in this nearer term view. Like prices have found a support previously at about the 1640 level. The 1640 level seems to be the immediate support for OCBC. Previously came and tested it. Previously was a resistance, tested it in April, late March, early April as well. We are right now is in between that $17 psychological resistance, not able to break above it. Tested it quite a few times already over the past 2 months. We're just in the middle of it right now. So I think, in fact, if you are holding OCBC, I think it's more likely it's part of your longer term portfolio. You're unlikely wanting to move it too much, right? So if you're thinking to sell, I think you have to compare to your other opportunities where you actually have in the market as well. Is selling off a bank stock to buy something else worth it for you? Is it part of your larger portfolio? If it is okay to sell, I would say if you're looking to sell somewhere close to that $17 psychological resistance, maybe a good level, to reduce a little bit of exposure, free up a little bit of that capital that hasn't been growing as much for you as well. But if I think you should still leave some of that OCBC shares as part of your larger portfolio as well. Why? It's because that longer term trend is still intact. Although yes, nearer term it has tapered down a little bit, but with that longer term trend intact, if prices break above that $17 level, I think the next target level could be towards that 1760 level. So I think that would mark an all-time high for OCBC as well if prices manage to break that $17 level. So you still may want to be vested. And on top of that, we still have that 1GT bullish signal still present. No exit signals just yet, no signs of weakness just yet, just a little bit of consolidation, a little bit of that sideways movement as the rest of the market is moving. All right, okay, I think VC, I think if you want to watch out for, I think a few key levels, 1640, set an alert there, $17, set an alert if prices break above this level, and even perhaps what Joey have done previously, instead of ending just a price alert, add a 1GT alert. All right, 1GT buy or sell alert, you can set up here once per bar, create. So if there's another new 1GT bullish or bearish signal, you will be alerted towards the next move. All right, okay, so that is for OCBC. I'll pass the time now to Z to actually cover the last stock before we move on to the bonus stock. Thanks, Z.
All right, thank you, Bervyn. Okay, so I think let me just very quickly share my screen over here. And I think the last stock that I will share today before we go on to the bonus section, right, would be SingPost, right? I think Video Junkie Forever is asking about SingPost. Is it a buy now or should wait further? So let's take a look at SingPost, all right? So for SingPost, I've already turned on the 1GT bullish and bearish signal. And the first thing that should strike you, right, should be, this stock, not just one GT bearish signal. There's like 1 and 2. It's 2 consecutive 1 GT bearish signal. That should strike you as the first thing when you turn on the signal, right? And second thing is that if you take a look at the trend and we focus on trend very heavily, is that the 20 days moving average is actually pointing down and it's actually still continue to point down. If I were to zoom in, you can see over here, it's still continuing to point down. It haven't even stabilized yet. But the longer term trend, okay lah, the longer term trend still decent, I would say. At least it is flattening out. It's flattening out, right? It's not pointing down yet. The longer term trend still haven't pointed out. So there's two things that you already have a bit of red flag lah, because I got 2-1GT bearish signal plus my 20 days moving average is pointing down. Doesn't seem so good lah. Maybe it could be a signal for you to actually, be a bit more patient and wait first. Because the thing is that if we were to get in here, can price go even lower? Potentially, yes. Why? Because the 20 days moving average is still going down. We are still seeing some short-term weakness, right? Because short-term, how do we define whether the short-term, right, actually stabilize, right? Is of course when we always mention that we want to monitor and see whether the 20 days moving average, right, has stopped pointing down and just kind of like going sideways first. That is the first thing, right? That is the first thing to know that, price have kind of like found stabilization, and perhaps we might even find a support level, right? Because right now, the support level, as you can see that I've drawn, is somewhere around this 420 to about 425, right? I would say that this would be the support zone that we are looking at, right? So, of course, now price is still going down. Will you go back to this 425? I'm not sure. It could potentially go down some more if the 20 days moving average continues to point out, right? And if it breaks below the 42 cents, if you were to ask me, do I think that the red and the blue line will point out? I would say there will definitely be signs of it sloping down already, right? So if it breaks below the 42 cents, then I think this stock, that's where perhaps you might not really want to monitor this stock at this point in time and continue to watch it first, because you wouldn't want to be buying a stock when it's going down. It's essentially you're catching a falling knife, right? And we don't want that. Okay, so for Video Junkie, right, I would say at this point in time, perhaps what you can potentially do, right, on your end, definitely number one would be to set an alert, right? To set alert for a 1GT bullish signal, okay? For a 1GT bullish signal. So let me just do it with you. Add alert, price change to the indicator, 1GT Pro indicator, buy alert, and then once per bar, create. And that's done. As simple as that, right? So whenever there is a new 1GT bullish signal that appears, I will be alerted, right? And that's where I can actually go and take a look at this stock again, because at least having a 1GT bullish signal, right, will give me an additional layer of confirmation, and hopefully by then, price have actually stabilized a little bit, and the 20 days moving average has flattened out. And that's when then we want to actually take a look at the stock, okay? And in terms of resistance wise, just FYI, I would think that somewhere it will be around, let me just, change it to red, it'll be around this 56 cents, because this was where somewhere in July, right, end of July, somewhere here, selling pressure came back in, and then we got very bearish candlesticks, and we get the very first 1GT bearish signal. Okay, so I think for SingPost, don't have to rush, right? Always make sure to check the big picture, right? Check for the signals, and also, the moving averages as well. And all of that, right, it is part of, our 1GT 7-point checklist, right? And if you want to know more about that, you can actually attend one of the 1GT webinar that's hosted by Joey. But I believe currently there's no more. I think the next one will be somewhere in September. And that's where you can actually register. Maybe Bervyn, can we put the link in the chat, right? And you guys can, if you are keen to know more about the 1GT 7-point checklist, how do we analyze the stock together with the 1GT Pro indicator, right? Then that's where you can perhaps attend the session and to find out a little bit more, okay, for the webinar and the 1GT framework itself. So Video Junkie, I hope that helped. Those are some of the levels that you can take note of. All right. So back over to you, Joey.
All right. Thank you so much, Z. All right. The final stock that you guys asked for today, and that would be SingPost. So very quickly, guys. All right. I just want to share what Z has mentioned today. We have covered a total of 15, right? 15 over stocks today. Let me just go to run through all the stocks that you guys are, so that in case you just join and then you're asking about the same stock, right? We'll not cover it again, all right? And I mean, it's pretty much the end of the session already. So I want to go through all the stocks so you can watch the replay. The replay that's on my YouTube channel, on Facebook as well, all right? In case you miss the stock, all right? So the very first stock that we covered was ST Engineering, right? That I covered. Of course, before that, we talked about the markets as well, right? S&P 500 index, the STI. I covered the first ST Engineering stock, Centurion, China Sunsine, Propnex, Hongkong Asia, CapitaLand India Trust, UMS, Yangzijiang Shipbldg, Genting Singapore, CNMC Goldmine, Sembcorp Industries, China Aviation, Food Empire, OCBC, and finally number 15, SingPost, that Z just covered. So we have covered all these stocks, guys. You can see that we do it round robin style, pump. We go through your stocks very quickly, 1-2 minutes per stock. And we want to show you how it looks like on my One Good Trend Pro indicator as well. So of course, we don't have the time to share the entire strategy. So if you have seen the link in the chat, click on it right over there, click on it. You'll come to this page right over here, right? how to potentially 3x your portfolio in 2025 with my one good trend, one GT framework, right? And also we'll discover how to identify the top 1% of winning stocks in seconds, right? Before knowing what to do with them, when to buy and sell. So as Zee has mentioned, this is a free webinar. We don't have it next week or next week. We don't do it every other month, all right? Maybe every 2-3 months, one time, all right? So the dates, the next one will be on next month, 30th September, Tuesday, 30 September, Tuesday, 7:30 p.m. So I hope you can make it, right? If you can, click on the link, go to this page, enter your name, email, and phone number, all right? You'll receive a confirmation, and I look forward to share more with you in this free webinar, all right? So the link is right in the chat. You come to this page, go ahead to secure your spot, all right? Because there's only limited spots. Okay, now, very simple. Let's go ahead to find out about the bonus stocks, all right, that I want to share with you guys. So for those of you who have been joining us all the way to now, awesome, right? Awesome. Almost more than 2 hours. Well, I'll show you guys the very first stock for today. And this first stock was actually one of the stocks that was asked as well, but I couldn't cover it because it was a bonus, right? So I will not cover like 2 times. So we save it to the last one, the best one for the last, right? So who is asking about it? Let me just see. I think we have like Emily asking about it, right? So this is the bonus stock for today, guys. Emily, Q&M Dental. The code is QC7. You bought at $4.90. Oh, maybe 49 cents, cannot be $4. Now it's only 49 cents. So zero typo error, 0.49. Waiting for it to break 50 cents. Target price 60 cents. Possible? All right, very good. Let's find out. So let me just go to hide Emily's comment. But great, Emily, thanks for asking about it. This is a bonus stock like share with you. So you can see that for Q&M Dental, the code is QC7, right? So team can just place it on the chat, right? So what happens is that QC7, Q&M Dental, we have been in a longer term uptrend, I would say, since April. Look at this, right? The 100 days moving average, 200 days moving average blue line. I mean, we've been talking about it many times over the past, 2 over hours, right? So long-term trend is up. In the short term, well, it's not always up. You can see it's a bit like down, and then up, and then down again, and then now like starting to go up again, right? So the short-term trend can be down and up one, right? But the longer-term trend has always been up. So we got to think about getting in only when both of them is up, right? And I think it's happened, right? The short-term trend has turned right from down in July, down, finally starting to turn up over the past 1-2 weeks, and we started to push even higher. So let's take a look at what it says on the One Good Trend Pro indicator, right? Let's turn it on, 1, 2, 3. So normally we are very lazy, so you just turn it on, pump. And you get a quick opinion in seconds based on the bullish or bearish signal. If you see bearish, then don't go and buy. Okay, let's see. So you can see for Q&M Dental, well, not too bad. Previously, that was in like April, pump. All right, long-term trend is up. The short-term trend that was going down started to turn up, and there we go, all the way up, man. If you ask me, in July, a bit not so good. We got a bearish signal, and then the green line also point down, right? Then we want to be patient, want to wait for the reversal to come in. That's why I mentioned, right, many times, right? And it did happen, right? So we got not one, but we got one GT bullish signal coming out on the 13th August and also on the 19th August last week, last week, right? So managed to go up a bit already, right? From about 40 cents, got now about 49 cents, all right? But I think it still looks pretty okay, all right? Because we have pushed a bit higher. We have headed to this very key psychological resistance level. So what Emily mentioned is correct as well, right? 50 cents would be a psychological resistance level. In fact, yesterday, right, we actually went all the way up. Even though it's green in color, the candle, but we got a long upper shadow. It just means that sellers, gain back control and push prices all the way back. Now, it doesn't mean it's going to crash and stuff. It just means that 50 cents, right? Just a bit hard to cross, right? It's a bit of resistance, right? It's a bit of, we don't not so easy 1-2 days, just go up already, right? It's a bit of a resistance, might negotiate a bit, attempt to break it, and then come back down a bit, and then stay below it for a while, take a rest, right? And one fine day, if you're to break the 50 cents, then different story. So you can see I've set my alerts, 505, 51, maybe let me set one more, 515. If it breaks 50 cents, I think that's where we could be poised for more upside momentum. Targets could then be revised. Let's do a little bit of a projection, right? From here to here, we do a bit of a projection upwards, maybe all the way up to about 58, right? 58 to maybe 60 cents. That could be the next upside target. So you can see, right, we got 2 bullish signals. They are in play. The short-term trend is up. The longer-term trend is up. Now, the only thing is that we just need to go above the 50 cents, all right? If that happens, targets could be revised even higher. I'm looking for even more upside, all right, on that more bullish price action, right? So we're looking for it, right? I've set my alerts. If it comes, we get another bullish signal, even better. All right, so that will be for Q&M Dental, the bonus stock I'd like to share with you guys. In fact, I also sent out to our clients in Philips Securities, right? As by WhatsApp, I think a few weeks back or something like that. Clients, check it out, right? You probably received the note on WhatsApp as well. And the reason is because we got this bullish signal. So team, maybe can place the link in the chat again on how if you want to get some of those ideas for free daily by WhatsApp, much faster than the time we take to do this every Friday AM session, right? Check out how you can become a client of mine in Philips Securities to get some of those top Singapore ideas for free daily So link is right in the chat. Okay, let me pass on the mic to Bervyn, right, to cover his top Singapore stock for today. Bervyn, all yours.
Thanks, Joey. All right. Okay, so I would also like to take the time to answer a little bit of those questions also. So I think Vincent also was asking, can you share some general thoughts on what stocks works best in such markets? So I believe when you were asking it was talking about the MAS fund injection into the market. Obviously, nobody knows what funds this or what stocks these asset managers will go ahead to buy. There are some criteria, but so I think today my bonus stock actually, in fact, I think may help you in this sense. Is because we are actually just talking about the general stock exchange itself. All right. So we're talking about Singapore Stock Exchange, SGX, the exchange itself. So if we are not able to know what stocks the managers are buying, how about we just buy the stock exchange itself, because that is the exchange where it's going to be handling all these stocks. All right. So hopefully it makes sense. So that's the angle that we are coming from this week. So we are looking at Singapore Stock Exchange. I think just now there was somebody that was asking about Singapore Stock Exchange as well. I think it was Ian, but I'm not able to locate your comment. So, but it's fine, Ian. Hopefully you're still here. So let's discuss a little bit about Singapore Stock Exchange this morning. First, we are able to see that there is 3-1 GT bullish signal. Pointing out the obvious first. 3-1 GT bullish signal without any exits just yet. All right, no exits just yet. Prices have indeed pushed up. All right, pushed up from that $13 level all the way now to the 16.40 level. I recall Ian was saying that he was buying. He had actually a position in the stock since it was under $10, $9 something, right? So right now you are sitting on a tidy sum of profit, right? It's probably part of your larger portfolio as well. Based on the price of the stock, you're unlikely to trade much in and out, right? So we want to take note of the longer term trend. Okay, the longer term trend being the 100 days, 200 days moving average, very clearly still pointing up. And that 20 days moving average, yes, although the gradient not as steep as what it was in July, it is still currently pointing up, and prices are firmly or still pretty much trading between the $16 psychological level and that $17 psychological level as well. So I think if prices currently just in between, I think it is a no move currently sort of stock, but you want to just monitor, I would say monitor a few levels close to that 1640 level could give yourself an entry or position to get in to SGX, or alternatively, if you are holding on to the stock for a while like Ian, you are sitting on some profits, you may want to get out close to that $17 level, or take some profit off that off the board right here as well. Enjoy that profit. It's nothing wrong. But if you want to continue riding the trend, if you're holding on to SGX, continue riding the trend, I think so far all signs point to the stock potentially having a continued momentum. All right. So if prices, or when is prices going to break above $17? I don't know. Joey won't be able to tell you. I think Zee also won't be able to tell you. I definitely won't be able to tell you as well. But I think as of now, I think that consolidation phase is still happening. And if prices get back to that $16 level, yes, potentially there is an entry. Will you get back there for you to buy? I don't know also. But if you're not able to get in close to that $16 level, and a more aggressive strategy will be to buy upon a breakout above that $17 level. So if you don't know when prices are going to break above the $17 level, I think the best thing to do will be then to just add an alert above that $17 level to just get yourself notified that if prices are moving on to the next leg of that uptrend already, maybe that's when you can position yourself for an entry. So I think SGX still one of the top stocks in our watch list. I think potentially it could be on your watch list as well. So I will just now pass the time to Z to cover the last bonus stock for today.
All right, thank you, Bervyn. Okay, let me just quickly share my screen, and my bonus stock that I would like to share with you guys today will be none other than Singapore Telecommunications, which in short is Singtel, like everybody known as Singtel, right? And I think in the comments just now I saw someone was also asking about Singtel. I think it was Joy Peace, right? Joy Peace was asking about Singtel, bought at 410 after dividend. So you bought at 410 after dividend, and you are thinking whether should you hold for the next dividend or should you sell. Right, so let's take a look at Singtel for today. Okay, so first thing first, when I zoom out and you guys can look at the bigger picture of the trend, I think this is a very beautiful chart, and usually this is what we like lah, because you know, the red green above the red above the blue, and it's trending up, right? Who doesn't like uptrending stock, right? And if we can just take a look at this, it's pretty classic lah in terms of textbook. You see, up, sideways, up, sideways, up, sideways, up, sideways, up, and could we see sideways? Potentially, right? Not sure. If you were to ask me now, I wouldn't know. But let's see. Okay, what are some of the levels that, if let's say if it were to actually consolidate sideways, perhaps what are some of the levels that we can actually take note of? Okay, so for Singtel, right, if we can take a look at these, right, the moving averages, I don't really have to talk about it. All of you guys can see that it's all in an uptrend. Moving averages are all pointing up, right? And price, I think before lunchtime it was at about $4.30 lah. And this was actually one of the resistance level, right, that we have spoken about, as this was one of the stock that was shared as a bonus stock last 2 weeks as well, right? And how did we actually gotten this $4.30, right? Was because based on the projection, right, that it has kind of like been consolidating sideways for at least 1 month or so, since July to August, and then we actually projected up from a resistance, right? And that's the reason why we actually got $4.30 resistance. And over the past couple of days, what we are actually seeing is that price is actually testing the resistance, right? You know, on 26th of August, wow, it break above. But after that, the next day, 27th of August, seems like the $4.30 is not really firm yet, right? You haven't really broken above the resistance, and now it's just testing lah. It's just testing the $4.30. And if you were to ask me, will it actually break above it today, and will it be able to hold above it today? I wouldn't know, right? I wouldn't know. But I do know that $4.30 will be one of the immediate resistance that I'll be looking out for. Right, and this is where I could potentially set some alerts, and that's where you can also set some alerts, right? Above this $4.30, maybe 4.31, 4.32, 4.33, 4.34. That's where you can actually set all your price alert, right? To monitor if price break above this, can it hold above this $4.30? Because if it does hold above this $4.30, and we do a projection up, the next potential upside targets that we are looking at would be towards $4.50 lah. All right. And on top of that, right, we apart just from the levels lah, okay, apart from just the levels, we actually see, because I already turned on the 1GT bullish signal, right? And what do we see? We actually see 1, 2, 3 consecutive 1GT bullish signal actually playing out, and currently there's still no exits yet lah. So let me just see from the very first signal that come out in, when was this, 28th of January, all the way to where we are at now. That's about 37% rise in price, which is not too bad, right? And it's stable. It's like going up, sideways, and it's healthy because there are periods of consolidation happening, right? And right now, if prices is actually testing the $4.30, and we are seeing that the longer term uptrend is actually still intact. If prices is unable to break above, come back down and do this, is it okay? I would think it's still okay lah, because then that will actually make the uptrend even more sustainable, right? And that is where we can actually monitor a potential breakout above the $4.30. Okay, so for Joy Peace, right, you're asking about, like, you bought at $4.10. So $4.10, I believe, will be somewhere near, like right over here, right, near this support level. This was actually a resistance, turned to become a support level. So for those of you who are thinking about potentially, if I never get into Singtel, is it still too late to enter? Where can I potentially enter? Then this is where you can potentially set some price alert, because uptrend is still intact, and when we want to enter, we think about entering near a support level, right? So these near the $4.10, maybe $4.11, 12, 13, 14, this is where you can set alerts to notify you if prices were to retrace back to the potential buy zone for you to potentially take some action. All right, and for Joy Peace case, right, because you already bought into a stock and you are already holding on to a stock, I think what you can actually do is to actively protect your profits lah. Because now I'm pretty sure you bought at 410, you are sitting on a 20 cents profits, right? 20 cents profits per share, and you can potentially, set some alerts, right? In terms of like, we can actually use trailing support, right? And we turn on the trailing support. Right now, the trailing support is below the $4.10. And if prices were to consolidate sideways, very likely that this trailing support will actually remain the same. Like, it will just kind of go sideways. And you want to protect your downside, because if prices were to suddenly reverse back due to any like negative news, that one we cannot predict, right? And you want to protect your downside, you can actually set some stop limit order, right, slightly below the trading support. And if prices continue to actually move up, right, okay, let me just draw it like that, and then continue to move up like this. This is the trading support, all right? And this is where you can potentially shift your stop limit order up accordingly with the new trading support, so that then that's where you can actively protect your profits, like when the stock continue to move even higher, right? Rather than don't do anything lah, okay? Rather than not doing anything, and if let's say there's some bad news or anything like that, and then prices were to reverse suddenly, then you might get a bit caught because you are not sure what to actually do, or like, you might be a bit stuck lah. So at least take active steps to protect your profit and to manage your downside as well. And if prices continue to go up, great, right? And then we can actually, use the trading support to actually trail along the trading support with our stop limit order to protect your profits. All right. So that would be all for Singapore Telecommunications, which is Singtel. And I hope that helps to give you some insights in terms of some of the levels that you can potentially take note of. This is definitely still in our watch list, and I believe it's still in our team's watch list as well. So if you like, you can also add them into your watch list. All right. So with that, I'll pass the time back over to Joey to actually close off today's session.
Thank you so much, Z. All right. So yes, guys, there we have it. I think we have pretty much come to the end of today AMAS Singapore session right now. I hope you guys value this type of V, guys, for value. If you have got value today, right? You've got value today, type of V for value. Let me just acknowledge all of you, all right, for still being here. I think there's more than 300 of you joining us today. Max, I think more than 350 as well, right? Awesome, right? I think we're seeing quite a lot of people joining us week after week. Same names as well. Mao, good to see you as well. Kamchon as well. Andy, value. Evelyn, value. Especially if we covered your stocks, right? Styler today never covered your one, right? Victor as well. Value. Amanda, value. Thank you so much, guys. So we'll see you live again. We'll see you live next Friday, all right? Next Friday, and it will be back to the US market. It will be back to the US market. So very simple. All right. Thank you so much for joining us. We have covered 15 number stocks today, Singapore stocks. Next Friday, we're back to US. And throughout the entire session, all right, we have talked about how if you want to learn a bit more, you can attend what we call a free webinar, right? A free webinar. So I'll just place the link in the chat again, because I think probably the previous one is all the way up again. So team can place the link in the chat. You can attend the free webinar to learn a bit more about the entire One Good Trend strategy, and perhaps how you could have a tool like us, like what we've been using every day as well, or I call the One Good Trend Pro indicator, whereby in a matter of seconds, right, you can know when to get it, when to get out, when to buy, when to sell, all right, and a few other confirmations that we look up for as well. So attend the free webinar. I'll share more with you then. We don't have one next week. We don't have one next week as well. I think probably end of September, there's one. Click on the link in the chat, find out more, and I can't wait to share with you guys as well. So have a good weekend. Let me see if I missed anything. Yeah, I think some of you are asking about the signals as well, right? So we do have what we call a light version, the One Good Trend light indicator, right? There's a simpler version. We are using the Pro, but if you want the light version, bullish and bearish signals only, without all the advanced stuff, well, check it out. The link is right in the chat again. And then that's where you could also find out a little bit more, all right? And check it out, right? To set alerts and know when to get in and when to get out as well, right? So value, have a good weekend. So I think that's it, guys. We've come to the end of today's Ask Me Any Stock session. Really appreciate your time over here and look forward to see you next Friday as well, all right? Bervyn and Zee, anything to add for today?
I think yeah, pretty much that's the wrap today. We have pretty much gone through, I think, 15 stocks and shared 3 bonus stocks. And I really hope that you guys here have found some gem, right? And have found some value in today's session. So until next time, hopefully see you again next Friday for our US session. All right, thank you.
All right,
Bye.
thank you, everyone.
Have a good weekend.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.